Hello, everybody. Happy Halloween, and welcome to the Great Game Debate Gaiden Podcast, Episode 4. I'm Wes Bates. I'll be your host today. Joining me, as usual, are our regular crew of extremely knowledgeable, extremely attractive video game dads. First off, we have Stone Cold Hunter Pearson.
What's up, wonderful, warm, whimsical West Coast Wes Bates?
Yeah, I didn't have one of those in the
I was like, where are those?
Week.
I was all ready for my flattery. Whatever.
No flattery this week. We're calling you Stone Cold after your like merciless slaughter in Baldur's Gate 3 over the last several weeks.
Did I slaughter people? I don't remember slaughtering people. I thought
you don't remember slaughtering that poor innocent baby owlbear.
Oh
or
yeah,
saying that
was a mercy kill. That thing was gonna die, without its mom. I thought Brad's the one who like stabbed Asterion in the heart with a stake.
Hey! You're burying the lead here, man.
Like, that wasn't me. That was
Sterling. Sorry, yeah. That's what happens when you hit the wrong button and then roll a nat 20.
That plus you sent that gnome into orbit as well.
Oh yeah.
Did I do that one?
Yes, You hit the wrong button and launched him like.
Apparently, hitting the wrong button is the name of the game in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, we're not.
Zach also shot himself in the back like multiple times, like trying to disarm a trap or something.
I don't know if there is being good. I don't know if there's like being good or bad in Baldur's Gate, but we are definitely unintentionally moving the story along. So.
Unintentionally,
we're stumbling through it, aren't we?
It's definitely unintentional.
Yeah.
Also joining us, as previously mentioned, we have Brad the Impaler Russell.
That's a good one, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are you doing, Brad?
I'm good, man. Thank you. The apologies to three of you. We were supposed to do this last night. My power went out, but we're up and running today, and I'm really happy to be here. So
we're on like take 17 here. So
yeah, thanks for hanging out and waiting for me. I appreciate it.
You bet, man.
It's all good. We're here now.
Be behind. Never.
And last but not least, we have Zach. I have no shame. Pearson.
Dressed as Grimace.
Absolutely.
I had another nickname for Zach. It was Zach Spicy Pepper Pearson. Apparently, Zach is a spicy pepper aficionado. He follows spicy pepper newsletters or something like that, just to keep up on.
I like keeping up with it. Hot food is therapeutic for me, and the pain is worth it. So I do like to dive myself in and eat about as much as possible until I can't feel my face. So
Zach has always had little foodie kind of whimsical odd tastes. Even when I remember when he was even 7 and 8, if a menu had at a restaurant just some weird drink, he always ordered it. He would get some weird Thai coconut mocktail thing, and I'd be drinking
it was a Thai tea. You can't say you've never drank a Thai tea.
I just made up a drink. Depending on where we were. It was always a different thing, though. You never just got a Sprite, You always get some weird thing at the end. Anyway.
I went to Zach's house a couple weeks back. Was that not last week?
It was
week
last
before.
weekend.
And he just started mixing drinks. He's just like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, "What are you making?" And I didn't even know what you were making. It was some purple colored concoction.
It was a gin and tonic, but there's a really fun gin you can get called Empress that has a blue color to it from elderflower pea blossoms, and they color it blue and react to acidity. So when you add in the tonic water and a lime, the blue color turns pink and red.
Yeah,
it's pretty. It's fun stuff. The mixology is fun. It's like doing a chemistry class that you can drink.
Jealous Wes got there. I don't think you beat my entire family to Zach's house. I'm not sure any of us have made it yet.
I've been there twice.
Yeah, Wes has been to my house twice now, and my family has not been here at all.
That's not a good look for me. Yes, this is very guilty feeling now. You did move to the other side of the country.
Yeah, I did it to myself too. That's true. But
it's all right. This is a show full of shame, so don't worry about it. doing a 180 here. I just want to go around the bend and just ask you guys what's good. What's good in your lives in the last month since we've met? Hunter, starting with you. What's good?
Well, video game wise, definitely playing some Baldur's Gate 3 with you guys. It's been fun, even if I don't remember all of the shenanigans we get into. Man, what a month!
It's been a lot of mishaps.
Yeah.
What a month! I mean, what a month for video games. I mean, I've been full fledged into Spooderman 2 and Mario. Alan Wake 2 I just started. It's been so good. It's just almost too scary. I have to like take breaks. But yeah, some great video games out right now. Some really great fall weather here in Virginia. I've been enjoying the leaves changing. Not looking forward to raking, but they haven't quite fallen off yet, so we're all good.
Yeah, I gotta love that season change. Everything gets a little nip in the air, and
It's
the air smells fresher. And
86 degrees here today. Felt like summer, but the leaves still are changing. Anyway,
nice. Brad, how about you? What's good?
Same as Hunter, man. Video games this month. Usually, I try to pick something a little more wholesome or closer to home, but this month has just been video games, man. Spider-Man 2, Mario Wonder has been absolutely dominating my free time. Mario with family's been great. It's kind of the only thing that really gets the attention of the old fam anymore as far as video games are concerned. Metal Gear Collection just came out. It's getting a little guff for just being kind of a straight port, but hasn't bothered me at all. It's nice to be able to play the games on my PC without any kind of shenanigans for once, which has been fun. Just like Hunter said, too, fall weather creeping in, my favorite time of year. We're a couple days from Halloween here at the time of recording, and straight on into the holiday season. The snow's coming. I'm looking forward to it. I just love fall and winter so much.
Same.
yeah, Zach's got his Halloween costume on already. You got a Halloween costume picked out?
Is that your Halloween costume, Zach, or is that just what you like to snuggle up in at night?
Both. I mean, both. It's a full ass onesie.
I was wondering that. I was like, is it a whole onesie? Because
it's a onesie.
Oh my god, it's gonna stand.
It's got scales on the back and a tail.
That's what holds your dumps. That's what
I never knew that Gengar had a tail.
Mm.
Oh, that's not Grimace.
Yeah, but you almost always get them from the front.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's news to me.
I'm going as Barbie, Ken from Barbie, the dance party. The entire neighborhood's doing Barbie and Ken different versions.
Are you gonna wear a headband with that?
I don't know if he has a headband in that scene. He definitely has his hair done. He has like a really cheap, like gold plastic wine cup. But mine's also a full onesie. It's like the white, almost like full onesie with a gold belt.
It's like a tracksuit, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks really stupid. It's also the only size they had I could get it in was a XXL, so it looks like really, really bad on me. But should be fun.
What's good with you, Wes?
Let's see. I got to go on a fishing trip here about a week ago. That's why I was stopping by on my way to the trip to Zach's house because I was close by. But just a bunch of guys from my family ended up going up and spending a couple of days away from it all, and doing some fishing, and that was a lot of fun. It was. I'm not usually the type to go fishing, but it was a pretty cool experience. We were on a jet boat on the Salmon River, and man, if you've never been on one of those things, they're wild. I mean, we were going like up rapids, like up like big rocks and stuff. Like those things just sit on top of the water, and they don't have any kind of like prop or anything. It's all just water stream pushing the boat, and man, cool. we were whipping up that river, and it was pretty cool. So that's probably the most interesting good thing that's been going on, other than video games. Obviously, video games are amazing right now. But
you sent over some shots, man. Wherever you were up there was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, really pretty.
Yeah, we were in Riggins, Idaho. If anybody's interested, it's some pretty good fishing over there. So
if you want to come up at any time, this is a great area for literally anything outdoorsy. You can go like an hour in any direction and find just about any kind of area you'd want. I live in a desert here in Boise. You can get up into the woodlands as you go up north. You head out to the east, you find a little bit of sand dunes. You can head down toward out of the state towards like Utah, and you're gonna find a lot more woods, some lakes and stuff. Like there's so much outdoorsy stuff here, and it is all absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, there's some beautiful cow country up kind of where I was, like kind of like rolling meadows and a lot of pine trees. It was really, really nice. So anyway, let's jump into news bites.
Did Zach
you guys...
get a good turn? Did you say what's good, Zach?
didn't.
Oh,
I didn't say what's good, but that's
yeah.
fine. I'll give you a quick one.
I'm sorry, Zach. I didn't mean to skip you. I thought that we were talking about your onesie and how comfy you are and everything, and I thought
I'll give my good thing. It's a quick one too. So my kids have made my inner otaku really proud and are going as anime characters for Halloween, and it's making me. I just have a huge smile on my face from it. Winter is going as Nezuko from Demon Slayer.
Okay.
And Knight wanted to be a character called Dot Barrett from a show called Mashal, which is basically like another Harry Potter type show where the main character doesn't have any magic but is incredibly strong. He's not going as the main character; he's going as a guy who does explosion magic. So
that show looks hilarious, by the way. I've watched a couple of like snippets from it, and it's absolutely hilarious.
I turned it on for the kids. Probably right at the end of September, and they blew through it that first season in just a couple of days. They didn't want to watch anything other than that. It's a good show for kids. There's not really anything bad going on in it. The main character is kind of a little bit not clumsy, but he's just silly and a little bit of like an airhead. So
he seems aloof, kind of.
Yeah,
like he just doesn't really like understand what's going on, even though he's like good at everything.
Yes.
Is that magic?
Yep. It's a lot of fun. We're checking out, but it just makes me happy that my kids are getting into something that I really enjoy as well, and they're willing to dress up for it.
I started watching Spy Family with my daughter. She's been enjoying that.
It's another great one. We thought about that for the family this year. We almost did a whole thing where we're gonna have Knight be Damien, Winter would be Anya, and then Mom Cheyenne and I would be Lloyd and Yor.
Yeah.
But Cheyenne doesn't really do the whole outfits thing, so that kind of got nipped in the bud real quick.
Yeah, I don't think my wife would do that either. So, oh well, maybe one of these days. All right. Maybe. Well, we've all said what's good. So now we'll skip to the news. Sorry, Zach, again for jumping over you there unintentionally. Let's start with Hunter. Hunter, do you have a news bite for us?
Yeah. Kind of a non-serious one from me. It's kind of my speed. Mine comes from a Kotaku article about. The headline is "Awful King Kong game was made in a year by overworked devs," and it is. I feel like you really don't need to read this article. Like, you know this story. Like, people who follow anything in video games just knows the story of the small development team, licensed game, publisher, basically pushing them to like get it out in a certain date. In this case, like it being just a year is kind of like insane, especially for a big license like King Kong. I think that's the one thing that really surprises me is like how, these licenses get just handed out so willy-nilly, like without like any real quality concerns whatsoever. With like a big license like King Kong, you would think that they would maybe try and do kind of like what Marvel has done with some of theirs, with like Spider-Man, like find like an Insomniac to make a game like this, give them some money, give them some time. Maybe they can actually make something worthwhile out of it. But there was a couple of things in this article that I think really caught my attention. One of the things that cracked me up was, so the developer's name is Iguanabee, but the publisher's name is Game Mill. Game Mill.
They're just churning
so bad.
Like it's like the video game publishing edition of like a puppy mill or something. Like it has that connotation of just like you don't put mill after your name. Like that just suggests that you're just churning out just garbage for no reason. And so yes, Game Mill, the publisher, is the one who basically put the crunch on them. And one developer was quoted in the article as saying that they were basically on automatic pilot by the end of February because they all hope with the development team was lost, and that's February. This game just came out, so that means like, you know, like 7 months of just, well, I guess we're just gonna do this, you know.
Makes so much sense why that JPEG got in the game. If anyone has not seen this game on their social media at this point, I'm kind of surprised. But there's a whole scene where it shows like King Kong about to go into a fight with a dinosaur, and it shows the dinosaur kind of approach, and it shows King Kong, and then it goes back to the dinosaur, and it's not in the game at all. It's literally just a picture.
Yeah, it's like
of
a
the
place.
dinosaur.
It's like a placeholder.
It's there for like it's a placeholder.
Like a
it's there
second
for,
and a
like,
half.
Full, like, yeah,
It's there for a
good
while.
amount of
Like you're
time.
like, am I looking at a picture of a dinosaur? Like, did they take a Polaroid in the like? What is this? I did see that. You know, there's kind of like, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but the one thing that I will say that I wonder if we're like some places go in this direction almost intentionally, because there seems to be this like, you know, like games so bad that they know people are going to play them for clicks. You know, they're going to play them like because it's like, come watch me play this horrible game. Like it's funny and like we get to like look at the funny thing and laugh at it. It's like, why is King Kong just the regular sized ape? Like that doesn't make any sense. But like, I really feel like some places are like, well, maybe if we just tank the whole thing so badly, it will still sell, and like people will still want to play it just to, you know, get attention, basically. And I don't like that at all. I hate that.
I don't know if that's the case with this game. I did a little bit of extra research. Did you look and see anything else that Game Mill has published?
No,
by chance. Okay, so they do a lot of Nickelodeon games, Nickelodeon Kart Racers,
other licenses.
Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was one that they pushed out. Have you guys seen that Cobra Kai game?
Oh no.
Are these
They
good games?
did this really crummy looking Cobra Kai game. It's like a brawler. This really crummy G.I. Joe game. These are things that I've seen at Walmart on the discount shelf for like $10, you know, and a bunch of other kind of really. It's a lot of weird, kind of bad-looking licensed video games. You know, stuff that you get on Switch mainly. And it just seems to be kind of their MO and the level of quality that you can expect from this publisher. It seems like they're really kind of reaching out there for some recognizable IP, but then they're generally just, you know, shipping those on contract over to different devs and, you know, expecting them to push out a game, which seems like exactly what came of this King Kong game, which is really unfortunate, but it's kind of like that's what they do over at Game Mill.
Well, yeah, and you'd hope that developers, you know, I guess one of the reasons to promote it and talk about it here and other places is just to say, you know, like, I know it's exciting to get like a game funded and published, but, you know, maybe wait for somebody else to come along and actually give you what you deserve in order to make a game that your team is capable of making. Because I actually think if in just a year, it's kind of a little bit impressive in a way. You know, a year is no time at all for the team size that they had to make anything. So,
is there any other kind of King Kong like tie-in thing that's releasing anytime soon? And I think there was like a Skull Island movie sometime recently or something, wasn't there?
There was a Skull Island movie like that was like a long time ago. I feel like that was like 6 or 7 years ago. They made
I haven't seen it obviously, so I was just curious. Like, is there any good reason why they needed to like push this thing out the door at this time?
The last King Kong game that came out was Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie.
Xbox 360.
It's like forever ago. I mean, that's I think almost 2 decades ago, right? So like that's a long time between licensing. So I don't know why they pulled King out. I guess it probably was cheap. The license was probably pretty inexpensive, so they were like, "We'll just get this license. It'll be recognizable. We'll give it to a team. We'll push them for a year and just make people hate everything about video games." But at least some places can get some laughs out of it. You know, some screenshots for their websites.
I guess.
Game Mill.
Good luck, Iguana B, on your next game.
Yeah, don't go to Game Mill.
I hope that you have a better
lesson
run of it. Yep. All right. Zach, how about you? You want to go next?
Sure. mine could actually tie in a little bit to some of what Hunter was talking about. So my article comes from Games Radar, and it was an article talking about how Valve does not think that Steam should be pay to win as far as the games that get kind of highlighted on the system or on the software on the shop when you're going in to look for games. So the premise behind this is that Steam does use some algorithms to help generate games for you. So those like you might be interested page that when you go to Steam and you open up, they really use an algorithm for that. But then when you also go to the shop, you're going to get suggestions in the shop. But it's not based on a certain game developer paying them to give them more screen real estate. They really allow games to naturally find a way into becoming popular. So even if a game has been out for a couple of years and it didn't have great acclaim at first, it has a chance at any point in time when people start buying it and start talking about it, giving it more reviews, it has a chance for like a 3-year-old game to boost itself back up and not only just get a key spot on the website or on the client itself when you go to the shop, they will like have a whole takeover at times where it's like shown everywhere. There's lots of hype about it. People are wanting to come and see it. They'll have people playing it. You can go watch people playing it on Steam. So they really, if anything does have popularity, they are willing to push it forward, and it's not based on them paying. That's one reason I feel like this King Kong the Skull Island, the King Kong, got a lot of acclaim on the Steam store because people were buying it and people were playing it. So it got pushed up the ratings. People were able to actually see it more. So it got more views and more people wanting to look at it and actually try it out, just as Hunter said, so they could see what was going on with it for themselves. But overall, I feel like this feels like a great way to give chances to publishers, even if their game doesn't get a lot of start off right away. And I think I actually applaud Steam for this and Valve quite a lot. I think that this really helps the game industry because we really should be giving every game a chance. And let's be honest, there is so many games that come out constantly, and it's so easy to miss something.
Mm-hmm.
And these smaller developers, they don't have a chance to pay bukus of money like they might, like the big ones do on the like PlayStation Store or Xbox Game Pass, where they can get that screen real estate and get pushed up there to the top of the shop board. So this really gives everybody a fair chance, and I really applaud them on this. I thought it was a really interesting read, and I would love to see this kind of start being implemented on more areas so that we get more games that aren't as popular or that are coming up back in popularity, or games that you are actually going to be interested in actually get you into wanting to play them, and you can find new things.
Well, and Valve isn't doing it because they're nice, you know. Like, I think it's great, but
It's
like,
money.
but it's a sound business strategy that's a win-win, you know, because how many games have they had that have just come out of the woodwork on there and went absolutely gangbusters, you know, like Valheim comes to mind, Phasmophobia. Like, there's some games made by some small teams that just pop off, and then they're getting, you know, big, huge chunks of sales for that on Steam because that's where they're released. And so the developers, they're getting recognized. Their games are getting, you know, pushed to the forefront. Like, maybe they hit, maybe they don't. But the ones that hit, like, Steam makes a boatload of money off of, but they're not trying to make that money like, and I'm going to call out Epic Game Store here, like in the, you know, we're just going to basically pay to, like, have you pay us to put yours, like, you know, up on the top, and, you know, basically the opposite of that. So this is a completely different business strategy, but, you know, that's awesome. I think, see, that's the kind of like capitalism I like, where it's like really is working for all parties involved. And like, we get to see some great games and developers get recognized and Steve makes a bunch of money. I don't see anybody losing in this situation.
It makes sense. I mean, let the cream rise to the top, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then the good things are going to get the most views, or, you know, get put in front of the most people.
Yeah. Way to go, Valve. But also, will you make Half-Life 3, assholes?
Absolutely. All right, Brad, you want to jump in next?
Sure. We can see you.
What?
Yeah.
Hello.
She thought she was being sneaky there. Anyway, yeah, sure. So my story this month I actually stole from Wes. He was going to do this one and decided to change his up, so I decided to keep it for myself because I think it's perfectly timely and a good cause and totally spooky. So Blizzard, my story is coming from Kotaku here. It's titled Diablo 4 Sweepstakes Requires 666 Quarts of Human Blood. So Blizzard, as you know, they developed Diablo 4. They've introduced a spooky and kind of timely gimmick to promote the game's upcoming update. It's called Season of Blood. Blizzard is looking for 666 quarts of human blood to be donated to launch their upcoming update for next month. For the next month here, players can donate their blood and log their quarts onto a website. In exchange for in-game items and for a chance to actually win a liquid-cooled PC, which apparently has traces of human blood inside of it, which I thought was
That's so weird.
I know, it's bizarre,
Was
a
it-
little off-putting for me, but a new PC would be cool.
It's like, what if that
but
breaks? You're like, ah!
Yeah, yeah, so I just thought that was kind of a really neat idea, kind of interesting, creative, and ultimately like kind of helpful gimmick, to advertise the new update and all that. But the blood infused PC being the icing on the cake there. But seriously, I don't think they put it in the article where you can go, but there's always a shortage of blood around the world. It saves lives every day. If you're healthy and willing and able and can stomach the procedure and the process, please consider donating blood. Good place to start is redcrossblood.org if you want to see what you can do there. And I'm sure that Hunter will post the article here so you can go in and see where you can log your blood donations.
For sure. And
Thoughts from anyone?
just to make sure, there isn't any confusion. That's not. That's not. This is so funny. Oh, no. It's not 666 quarts of blood from each person. That's the overall goal.
from the community.
Because you're the nurse. Like, how much blood does a one human body hold? It's
Oh boy, something like pardon. I think it's like 8.
Yeah, I think it's probably. I was looking at. I was crunching some numbers on this in my head, and so it came out. It's about 5.4 quarts of blood per human being, and so that's 666. That means like it's 125 full human bodies worth of blood, and so that's enough blood to basically fill up like a small hot tub. Just for a visual. Maybe like a
Blizzard is going to have a hot tub stream once it's all done.
That's what they're doing with all the blood. Is they're just going to fill up one hot tub with it, and they're all going to climb in and do weird Blizzard Diablo things, like rituals.
Just a hot tub stream.
Yeah. Oh God.
I actually really like Brad mentioned. I initially chose this as my news bite. I just really appreciated the fact that the companies are kind of promoting something good. They're promoting their players to do something good and rewarding them for doing something good. I really wish that more games and game companies did these kinds of promotions and did these kind of things where they incentivize doing real world things that are beneficial to other people.
Yeah, again, it's redcrossblood.org for anyone interested in finding out where they can donate in their area. It's a big help.
Always a good
thing. The article, even if you cannot donate, there is, I think, a goal when they do this that they will be releasing items to, say, people who are overseas, who maybe aren't eligible for the sweepstakes, or people who physically cannot donate blood. You can still get stuff based on if
no one's missing out.
Yeah, no one's missing out on. Well, I think you might get some special items if you do donate blood, but there is kind of like an overall goal that I think all the player base will get something if the goal is hit.
He's right.
Sweet. They made changes to Diablo 2. It's worth going back into if you haven't been in it in a while. So
I have not, but now I want to go play my Necromancer and make some Bloodstorms.
There you go. Fitting.
Right on. All right, so moving on to our last news bite. This one's from VG247. It's called Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth lets you live the beach life and manage your own island resort. So earlier this week, Xbox had a kind of miniature showcase where it was showcasing games that were they're partnering with from third-party developers. And one of those was Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. And they showed this trailer for what I believe is going to be kind of like the main big mini game in the game, which is called Dondoko Island, Happy Resort Dondoko Island. Basically what this is they're putting an entire Animal Crossing
Like
type simulator game inside of Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. So the trailer starts off with Ichiban jumping on top of a dolphin, and the dolphin like riding him across the ocean to this island, Dondoko Island. And he gets there and he's basically tasked with building this resort island, kind of anything that he wants to make to kind of incentivize people to come. And ultimately, you know, these types of mini games in these games are really there to basically help you build your cash flow, because everything runs on money in these games. This is the big way that you make a lot of money, these big mini games. And so you can do everything. It seems like almost everything that you can do in an Animal Crossing game. You can fish, and you can catch bugs, and you can make DIY furniture, and you can place DIY furniture in your house, and you can like customize your island, build roads. You can put gigantic fire-breathing ogre statues all over your island. You have to defend your island from thugs that come and, you know, try to, you know, beat you up or take over your place, which is very Like a Dragon or Yakuza-esque. You can throw big bonfire beach parties. It just absolutely screams Animal Crossing. And every time I've watched this trailer like 6 times now at this point.
So weird.
And every time I watch it, I just have a big shitting grin all over my face just because it's so good. It's so jolly. And
I don't
does
get it.
nothing but you don't get it.
I don't understand how. No, I get it. It looks awesome. Like it's a mini game in Like a Dragon. So
yeah, it might as well be a free game.
It's a mini game.
Mm-hmm.
It's Animal Crossing Yakuza as a mini game. Like how? Like how did they do that? How many years was it between New Leaf and New Horizons? Like, I mean, like the Animal Crossing games take a long time to make. And that's all they're doing in those is making Animal Crossing games. And they, you know, Yakuza people.
In this case, they're basically stealing New Horizons, the exact template and just slapping it in with the coat of paint of Like a Dragon.
Their mini games are insane.
I feel like Yakuza is probably the best bang for your buck franchise, like in general, and has been for like a very long time.
Oh, yeah,
there's always so much to do. There's like something there for everyone. I can't wait to get my hands on this game.
They just pump them out, and they're all so good. I don't understand how they like just keep churning out these good Yakuza games. I mean, since I got into the franchise, which was Yakuza 0, you know, I had something to go back and play. But like since then, what are there, like 5, 6 Yakuza games, you know? Right? Like there's a
so
bunch.
Many.
There's so many.
There's so many. Yeah.
It's crazy. And they're all good.
I mean, there's already been one that's come out this year, and there's another that's coming out in like
February?
a week or something.
Yeah.
And then Gaiden is coming out in November.
Gaiden just came out on Game Pass, I think, right? I think it just went.
It's not out yet. It's out next month.
Okay.
Ishin came out on Game Pass.
Ishin, that's what I'm thinking. See, there's so many. So
yeah,
damn
so
many.
Ishin was earlier this year. Gaiden is coming out next month, and then Infinite Wealth is coming out at the end of January 26th. So they're just pumping these things out. It's crazy.
If you want to spend all your time, you can spend all your time from now until the end of January playing the Yakuza games to play and then play the new one.
It's overwhelming. Anyway,
it is a little.
I'm excited to play Yakuza Animal Crossing. That's going to be wacky.
Oh, me too, because we've been playing a lot of Fae Farm at my house as Wes came into the house and got bombarded with by 9.
Yeah, I got to make my own Fae Farm character like the second I stepped in the door.
But it's a lot of farming and the same sort of stuff as like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. So like this actually sounds so much fun to me. I just want to go do this now in Yakuza.
Well, we don't have to wait long because it's coming out in less than 3 months, basically, at this point. All right, well, that has been News Bytes. So it's time, everybody. Time to jump in to our monthly top 10, the Gaiden Top 10. This month, we are going to be counting down the top 10 video game shopkeepers or merchants.
Great job. Great list. This is a fun top 10.
You've done it again, community.
Everybody chipping in, coming up with great ones, and it was very fun to like read people's takes. Before we get into it, I very much liked people going into like a ton of detail, like exposition on, why like their shopkeepers like are the best. I think that makes for fun reading on the Discord. So if you want to do that, by all means, please like sell your choices to us. I'd like that.
We definitely need more of that. I feel like part of the fun of this is really, exactly the pushing discussion. Why it is you think that this is a great thing, and not just shotgunning nominees out onto the Discord.
Yeah, so. Want to see the passion.
Exactly. All right, so starting at number 10.
Number 10.
There are no birds where I come from. The things that fly are like shadows. So lonely here. My function here is to trade, not to stand about, such as you do.
We have Xur from the Destiny series. Now I have very little, actually zero history with Destiny. Everything I know about Destiny is just what I hear other people talking about it. But I know we got a couple Destiny players here. So I'm going to kick it to Hunter and have him tell us all about Xur.
I would say, whatever you're lacking in playtime in Destiny, like Zach and I more than make up for that. I think we probably put combined. We have
2,000 hours.
We're in the thousands. We definitely, especially like the first Destiny, and then we put a lot of time in Destiny 2 as well. But I think the first one we were running those raids and what you call it there, the strikes. Like we were like those were like it was like second nature because Destiny is a loot grind game. It is a very much a loot-driven game, and that's why I'm going to segue into Xur, the old tentacle-faced shopkeeper himself.
Agent of the Mind.
So just to kind of understand Xur as a shopkeeper, because there is a lot of backstory. The lore of Destiny is hard to understand. I'm probably going to steer clear a lot of it. He's an agent of the Nine. Zach might have some things he wants to add. I don't know that most people know who the Nine are.
He's pretty mysterious overall.
He's not one of the Nine. Yeah.
He's just an agent of the Nine.
He's an agent. He's a servant to them. But just to really understand Xur, you have to understand like playing Destiny, especially early on. There's one thing that Destiny has always completely nailed. It is just the delivery of dopamine to people. And when you were playing it to begin with, and you realize like, okay, like you would get like a green Ingram would drop, and then like a blue one, and you're like, oh, and they really set this trend with the colors of like gear and everything back in the day. And you'd be playing like, hours upon hours of this game, maybe even like 20 hours, and all of a sudden you would be playing with somebody. My running mate at the very beginning was a guy named Ass Punisher XXX. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he and I ran together a lot because we were kind of similar level and stuff. One day he shows up and he's got this freaking gun, and you could like look at each other's inventories and stuff, and you can also see them in their hands. But he had this gun called the Red Death. And like it was an exotic, and I hadn't even ever seen an exotic. Like it was It was a foreign concept to me. And unlike other games where it's like, oh, it kind of looks samey and like just has like a whole bunch of stat boosts, like these were legit, like exotic, rare, hard to get, with meaningful both designs and perks that you had to then level up. And like it was all just a grind, but like the best kind of grind, where like when you got these drops, and I was like, Ass Punisher XXX. Where did you get this? Like, what the hell? Like I haven't even seen a purple one yet myself, and you got this thing. He was like, dude, there's this dude in the tower. He's selling this right now. And he's selling other exotic stuff. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? There's like a shopkeeper selling exotics. So this was the introduction to Xur, you know? So of course, like, Xur is like this whole kind of mysterious thing where out of the blue, there's just this guy that appears in the social space, you know, that you can go up to, and he's like kind of hiding. You have to like, sometimes you have to like go find him. Like he might be like up a tree, or like, you know, he's always in like a different place. In fact, there are entire websites dedicated to like just where's Xur right now. Like even still in Destiny.
When I was playing it heavily, I had a notification every Friday morning that was coming to me telling me exactly where Xur was and exactly what he was selling, because it was that important.
Yeah, you needed to know where he was, and the thing is that the very first time that I remember like being like, oh, I gotta go find this guy. He's like, yeah, you need 23 strange coins. Which, like, Destiny just had this masterful, grindy loot system where I was like, I looked at my inventory, I was like, I have 4. So, you know, like, they're like these really hard things to come by. You had to, like, grind a whole bunch of other stuff to then go trade for strange coins. And then you could just barely get enough to get up to what you needed to buy, like, one piece of gear maybe from Xur. But that's how I ended up getting, you know, my first exotic from him, which is I spent all of those on the Red Death, which was in the first week, so that I could also get it. He had a whole bunch of other cool stuff, but there was no way I had time to grind that much for strange coins. And then the second week, this is the craziest thing, the second week he was ever there, you know what he sold?
The one thing that everyone wanted and needed for the raid?
They didn't know because the raid wasn't out yet. They sold the Galahorn in the second week, and it was... Nobody really knew what it was, and it was, you know, it was a rocket launcher, and everybody's like, oh, do you really need that? The purple's kind of hard to come by, like the purple ammo for it. Most people just did not get it. They're like, I'm going to save up my strange coins. I'm going to, like, wait till the next week, like this, you know, we'll probably get this down the road. And then you didn't get it down the road, and then everybody wanted it later. But he actually sold it in the second week.
Yeah.
But yeah, Xur is, there's really not like that much more to it other than it's still such a popular shopkeeper. Like, name other shopkeepers that have entire websites dedicated to them. Like, there's probably like dozens of them you could go to now. And I like went and looked just before this just to see. And even for the original Destiny, OG Destiny, there is still like entire YouTube channels dedicated to where is Xur, what is he selling, what kind of perks does he have on him. You can still go get it this week in Destiny. He only shows up like during the weekends, like Friday mornings through like Sunday mornings. So you only have this very limited amount of time that you can go pick up like whatever he's selling. So it just becomes this kind of community. It like brings the entire ecosystem of this game together around like, oh, what he has this week sucks, you know, or like you're like, oh, you got to go find him. Like he's in this location. Very cool shopkeeper.
He is awesome. As far as lore goes, there's not... I was looking at this trying to remember some of it. There's not a ton of lore on Xur. Just to get a brief overview of this. He's an agent of the Nine, and the Nine are these these ancient entities that live outside of like the kind of dimension that we're in, and they send him out as an agent. But they do want to make contact with Guardians. So we might get more information about this in upcoming stuff, because Destiny is still ongoing. But still, amazing shopkeeper, and it was always a mad rush to go find where he was. And it was always fun when you came into the game and you could just see people in the tower running around all to the same place, and there'd be like
a whole crowd
people just around the one guy.
Because it was such a social game, so like everybody, like the tower was one of the best places. People would just like sit in lines or like dance with each other or like push each other off. I mean, it was fun.
I'm sorry, that just came out really funny to me. They just sit in line, just start dancing with each other.
Yeah, that's what they did. I mean, not exaggerating. That's. I mean,
I'm sure you're not. Yeah.
People would like have these things where they would like try and get to like some place in the like tower where they really weren't supposed to be, and you'd be like, how the hell did you get up there? It was fun.
You could never be AFK in the tower, as Hunter said. They were going to find a way to push you off.
Yeah.
So you could fall off the edge.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, cool. Well, thanks for giving us a scoop on Xur. Moving on to our number 9 pick.
Number 9.
Number 9, we have The Shopkeeper from The Messenger. The Messenger is an awesome indie game from the same developers as the recently released Sea of Stars, Sabotage Studios. Zach has a special fondness, though, for The Messenger, so I'm going to kick it over to him to tell us about The Shopkeeper.
So, this is a game that when I moved out to Boise, was about the only thing I could play on my wife's laptop, because it is not that hard of a game to run, and I didn't have my computer out. I had a lot of things there, so I spent quite a bit of time just running through the Messenger. And if you like Sea of Stars is technically a prequel to the Messenger, so worth checking out. But as you're going through the game, you get to a point where you get stuck, and there is nowhere that you can move or go because you've fallen down the hole. And a portal opens up out of the middle of the nowhere, and you're like, well, should I go through this portal? Should I not go through this portal? And you end up walking through it to come into the shop, where you meet the shopkeeper for the first time. First seems kind of unassuming, like, oh, well, this person's here, let me see what they have. And they nicely, for free, give you the climbing claws, I think is what they were called in the game, which then you can use to get out of the shop and start jumping around to get out of the hole, because you can jump side to side and hold onto the walls. The shopkeeper actually ends up doing this for you a few times throughout the game, helps you in certain ways to really get out of a bind that you're in. But that's not why we love the shopkeeper. We love the shopkeeper because this is the most talkative motherfucker I have ever met in a game.
Yeah.
In the best way possible. So the shop is not that big. There's only a few things in there, but every time you go and talk to the shopkeeper, there's a different story that they can tell you. They just want to talk to you about things. They want to talk about their lives. One of the things that is in there is a cabinet, and you can go find this cabinet. And when you try to talk to them, they go, "Don't try to open that cabinet. I see what you're doing." And if you keep trying to do it, it's like, "Stop! Just stop trying to open the cabinet." Okay, you're going to keep trying to open the cabinet? Well, if you keep doing this, I'm going to get into a spot where you can no longer fast through my dialogue, and you will have to listen to a very long-winded story and get through this entire thing before you'll be able to do anything. Are you sure you want to do this? And of course, you click on the cabinet again, and they go through an entire rant, and the first time you do this, on just, like, the meaning of life and love. It takes a good probably 5 minutes to read this, because you cannot skip through any of the dialogue. You have to wait for each little word to roll itself out, and then you can click through it after it's gone to there, and then it's the next line, and it's a full paragraph on each one. Yep. But they give you these actual good life stories and good life lessons. If you actually stop and read what they're saying, the shopkeep actually is giving really good advice, just for like how to live in general and how to like treat other people, which kind of tells you that this is someone who has had probably a lot of time on their hands to stop and think about these things. which, as we start to learn later on in the game, is actually, sorry Hunter, this is spoilers. If you want to cover your ears, we can give you some earmuffs here, because I know you haven't played it.
Yeah, that's gonna help, Hunter.
This is because the entire cycle of the game, where the messenger takes the message to the next messenger, is a cycle, and it's constantly repeating. And the shopkeeper is actually the very first messenger. She had the very first task of taking the message to the next person, and then only after that, she stayed in what's called the Tower of Time, which when you get to in the game, you actually find the shop there, and you realize, oh, I've just been teleporting to the Tower of Time, because this specific spot is kind of trapped in time. It's no one's aging in it. No one's going anywhere.
God, the shopkeeper is Gehrman.
the shopkeep has been there for, I think at the point we're in the game, I think we're on the 5th messenger is where we're at. It may be more than that, but I think we're on the 5th one. And they have been there for a long time. They've had a lot of time here to think about things, and it kind of gives you like a little bit of, it makes you feel a little bit sad because they're trapped. They can't really do anything. They got done with their mission and they're just kind of trapped here. And it actually happens to you as well. You finish your message, you deliver the message to the next character, to the next messenger, and then it teleports you to the shop, where then the shopkeeper actually tells you, "Hey, you can open up that cabinet now." And funny enough, if you don't go open the cabinet and you keep talking to her, she's going to go through another whole long-winded life story if you decide to not open the cabinet this time. But once you do, you actually find a robe, and it is your job to then take over the shopkeeper's duties. So it's funny because you kind of become in the shopkeeper, but this one character really has had to live here for a long time and has a very deep backstory that they kind of play off because they don't want to, I don't think they want to think about the kind of existential dread of like, I'm stuck here forever. And actually, when it comes to it, they figure out that the next messenger hasn't come into the shop because they come back in. She comes back in to check on you and see like how the meetings with the next messenger goes, and goes, "Oh, well, they haven't been here." It's like, that shouldn't happen. And so they decide to check on the next messenger, and they found out that he's just died right there at the beginning of his journey. And so they end up she ends up speaking on your behalf to get you to be sent back out as the messenger again to finish the journey. But in this case, you actually end up going to actually finish the entire thing and make it so that the cycle stops. Overall, super compelling backstory that's a little bit deeper, but also is good at kind of being comedic and keeping it lighthearted, and really being fleshed out as an amazing character from a game that is not got a lot else going. I mean, it's got a lot going on as far as gameplay, but it's probably the most fleshed out character in the game by far. And you can see with it being on this list that I'm not the only one who feels this way. This is a character that is
happy to see this one on this list. I haven't played this game, but after capturing footage for the shopkeeper, I was cracking up because like there was a video that was just like all cabinet based dialogue, and I was like, that's a weird title for a video. Yeah. And why is it like an hour and a half long, you know?
Yeah. There's even a additional cabinet rant that they put into the DLC.
Yep.
Was it Picnic Paradise or whatever?
Yeah, where they're on a tropical
Picnic Panic. Or Picnic Panic, I think.
Yeah.
This group who makes these games, they are just some cheeky fourth wall break-in motherfuckers. And like some of the cabinet, I was cracking up listening to some of that cabinet dialogue. There's like one line that would like, it started to like play like some of the old dialogue again, and I was like, oh man, I was even thinking, I was like, we already heard this before. And then it went like, I thought you'd quit trying to open it when you thought I started to loop. Like, it's like so weird. It's so weird. I love it.
There's a line in one of the rants that cracks me up. It's talking about love. It's the love rant. She goes, "Some people are looking for love or acceptance, while others are simply hope Devolver will sign their kick-ass game."
Yeah, they like to break the fourth wall a lot. Anyway, I'm glad it made it. That's a really fun choice.
Yeah, Shopkeeper and the Messenger has a ton of personality. It adds a lot of personality to the game, and it's not just there for laughs. A lot of it is for laughs, but I mean, genuinely like provides you with some of the necessary equipment that you need to continue to progress in the game. Hints on bosses if you're stuck. Will give you different hints on how to progress with the bosses. You can buy specific like one-time use power-ups there as well. So it's a legit shopkeeper. Really, really good. Really recommend playing the Messenger if you haven't played it and you like 2D side-scrolling action games.
Metroidvania. It's a straight Metroidvania. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great game.
All right. That was the Shopkeeper as number 9. Moving on to number 8.
Number 8.
At number 8, we have Tom Nook from the Animal Crossing series. I'm going to kick this one to Brad. Brad spent a lot of time in Animal Crossing and has spent a lot of time dealing with Tom Nook. So
yeah, Animal Crossing. Show of hands, who's familiar at all with this franchise? Has anyone played? Okay.
For the audio listeners, that's everybody.
That's everybody here. Yeah, I think
we were all stuck in quarantine. We know what it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think New Horizons got us all through at least that early portion of the pandemic and whatnot. I've played, I think, 3 now in the series, so I think I may have a little bit of deeper insight into Tom Nook. But for the uninitiated, Tom Nook is the mayor, or the, I'm just gonna come straight out with it. Tom Nook is the final boss of Animal Crossing. it's just what he is. Without Tom Nook, you don't have a video game. Everything you do in Animal Crossing is to pay back your debt to Tom Nook. So, you would not have a video game if Tom Nook wasn't present in these games. He's a polarizing figure online. Some people think he's, just kind of cutesy and innocent. He is the Tanuki, which in Japanese lore tend to be kind of sneaky creatures. They like to pull pranks on people, but generally are good-natured, as opposed to the Kitsune, which is the fox, which tends to be a little more malevolent. Sorry, hard time with that word. They tend to be a little more evil and in their tricks. And you do have the representation of the Kitsune in the Animal Crossing series with Red, who's constantly selling you counterfeit products and these kind of things. Tom Nook, he's he wants his money, but he's not a thumb breaker. He's not showing up at your place, looking for his money left and right. He's giving you plenty of time to pay him back, and with the occasional barb here and there. I think in one of the games I played, he threatened to sick an army of raccoons on me, but that was not New Horizons. I think they softened them up a bit. Like I said, let's face it, like there's no game in Animal Crossing without Nook here. Every action you take is motivated to paying off the debt to Mr. Nook.
So it's not a lie to say that you're doing it all for the Nookie?
Yes. I would say no. Anyway, regardless of how you feel, I just kind of find him cute and funny, and I love that he's here on our list. I think the 8 slot is kind of perfect for Tom Nook, and that's about that. Does anyone have any thoughts about Tom Nook?
I think... sorry, Zach, you want to go ahead?
No, you do it. You can go on your...
No, I think it's hilarious and very interesting that I think if you really polled dedicated Animal Crossing fans and asked them, is Tom Nook a villain or a hero? Like, you'd probably get split pretty much right down the middle with your answers to that.
You do. They did an actual survey on that.
Did they?
I believe.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah.
The loan is interest free. I saw one dude actually did a complete breakdown of like what the actual value of like bells was. This was fascinating to me. So
that's right up your alley.
They were, I love this kind of animal stuff. Because I wanted to know, like, is he trying to rip you off? Like, he's selling you basically like beach property, in New Horizons. Like, I saw you spend probably on the house itself on average about $5.7 million to Tom Nook for the house. But 5.7 million bells is what I should say. Because it was like, that doesn't translate to dollars. So like, what does it translate to? So this person like went through the game and tried to find something that actually had like a real world value so that he could compare and figure out what the value of a bell was.
Was it turnips?
No, there are exactly 2 products in New Horizon that have a real world value that are licensed. You know what they are?
Go ahead.
You can buy a Nintendo Switch and you can buy a Nintendo Switch Animal Crossing edition, both in New Horizons. And the cost of a Nintendo Switch in the game is 29,980 bells. You know how much it costs in Japan? When it was released, 29,980 yen. It is a direct 1-to-1 to yen.
Okay.
And same for, it's obviously not an accident. Same for the New Horizons version. That one was the exact, I think it was like 35,960 or so. So it's like a complete match to yen. So now you know exactly what the value is. You can do the currency exchange rate at the time that the game was released and figure out that like he's actually just selling you a house for like extremely reasonable. It's only like 52 grand for essentially like 1,000 square foot house on the beach. Like that's, and he's making you pay it back without interest.
I'll take as many of those as you'll sell me.
Yeah. Anyway, Tom Nook. Yeah. Love to hate him. Everybody loves to hate Tom Nook.
Good guy in my book.
Maybe he's not as bad as you think he is then, I guess. So.
Good guy in my book.
He's pretty reasonable. He's got that good capitalism like we talked about earlier.
Yeah. He's fair.
He's got that kind of sleazy, like, car salesman angle going in a few of the games, too. Like, he is a New Horizons kind of, but they cuted him up a little more than usual. Like, he's been a little more shifty in the past, which I think is why people are kind of polarized on him a bit. But
he's probably taught my children, more about financial responsibility than I have at this point. So, that's pretty good, I guess. Like, they're all just like, I can't afford this. I'm like, well, you got to go work for it, and you got to save up. You got to come in at the right time. You got to get when the store's open. It's like, we're teaching you real life stuff here, kids. Keep playing. This is good for you.
Absolutely. All right, so moving on from Tom Nook at number 8, on to our number 7 pick.
Number 7.
Hey. Oh. And finished. Let's head back.
Good evening.
At number 7, we have Tai Takami from Persona 5. Now, being a Persona 5 entry, you would think that we would automatically kick it to Brad. But surprise, no, I am talking about this one first, this time. So, Takami, for anybody uninitiated in Persona 5, is the local doctor. She's kind of runs a backdoor clinic in the neighborhood where the protagonist lives, and you kind of end up going there as kind of she's one of the very first people that you meet in the neighborhood, and one of the very first relationships that you can establish. So you initially go to her. I don't remember, Brad, help me out. What's the reasoning for going to her initially? I don't remember that.
Was it nightmares? because you were having those dreams. Was that why he was concerned about his sleep or something? I know that's part of the dialogue tree.
It was that, and then I think Morgana was like, "Oh, I heard that there's a doctor in the neighborhood that kind of does back alley deals. Let's go check her out."
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you go talk to her.
Didn't surprise me.
Yeah, so you end up going to her, and then she kind of pulls you into basically becoming her, literally as she calls you, her guinea pig, for doing these clinical trials for these new drugs that she's developing. And she's got a little bit of a sadistic, twist to her personality, where she's kind of like enjoys putting you under these these tests that you really doesn't know what's going to happen to you. In some cases you pass out multiple times, and it's kind of interesting and weird. The cool thing about her as a shopkeeper is she sells a lot of really important items that are going to help you out, not only to heal, but even more importantly, I would say, to restore your SP. Because as you're going through the dungeons in Persona 5, you really don't have any options other than using items for restoring your SP, which is basically your magic points for using your really good attacks. And the really good thing about her is she sells a kind of a charm that you can equip called the SP Adhesive, and it really reduces the amount of SP. I can't remember actually. Does it reduce the SP that you use, or does it
restores after every round a small piece of your HP?
Right. Yeah. So you want to get this SP Adhesive 3 that she sells, but it's super expensive. It's 100,000 yen, and it will take
Unless
you a lot of.
Unless you progress to social rank, then it gets cheaper. She gives you a discount.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Exactly,
is that really
Brad.
the best thing about her?
No, we're getting there. We're getting there. So, as Brad mentioned, if you continue to rank her up her social rank, up to level 7, then she gives you a discount. You get the SP Adhesive for 50% off, so only 50,000 yen. Now, as Hunter alluded to, really, I think the reason that most people actually voted for Takumi as one of the best shopkeepers is obviously has something to do with her looks. It's not necessarily the charm of her personality or her sadism.
Oh no, it's her personality too. Oh, she can step on me all she wants.
She's got a choker on. She's got like a spike. She's the only doctor I've ever seen with a spike neck choker. She wears.
There's definitely a sex appeal thing going on here. It's a sexy doctor. She's kind of like a sexy goth doctor. She's got this kind of like short, like bob blue hair thing, dark eyeliner. She's wearing this like little green dress, like kind of mini skirt thing with these fishnet stockings, and she is also a romance option in the game, a very inappropriate romance option.
No. She's not inappropriate because we are all grown-ass men and we don't want to get in relationships with kids.
The character's in high school, Zach.
Very
all right. Now you know
awkward.
what the person Zach is.
I know
She
the
literally is
but
the fact that you're a minor.
As your character may be a minor, but as a person playing that character, she is significantly more attractive because she is not a fucking child.
Fair enough.
That goes really far into some gray area that I mean, I have not romanced her. I haven't played enough of that game to get that far, but again, just I had to kind of go through a lot of stuff to capture footage for it, and definitely my favorite line out of her mouth in the entire game that I saw, she was like in the coffee shop with Joker. It's not Joker, it's Joker. What's his name? Sorry.
It's whatever you name him.
Whatever you name him. Okay.
I mean, you name him.
You can just call him Joker. He's Joker in every game.
All right. So she's in the coffee shop with him, and she leans over and goes, "Is your guardian here?" And I was like, ugh. Like, you should not be having to ask that to the person you're trying to go like upstairs and smash with. Anyway, great healthy relationship though. She's the death really persona, right? Like, isn't that the one?
Yeah, absolutely. She is the
which is off-putting for a member of the medical community, but
her nickname in the medical community is the Plague.
Right.
Quote,
there you
unquote,
go.
The Plague.
Yeah. human trials, relationship with the miner. Great person though, super solid.
She actually does have a really interesting backstory if you
though. Yeah.
develop her relationship and kind of like what happened to her and how her.
There's redeeming qualities about Takumi.
Oh, absolutely. I think she's actually a really good person inside. She's a really good doctor. She cares about her patients truly, even though she, acts very sadistic towards you as the player, but for sure. Anything else about Takumi before we move on?
I think we covered it pretty good there.
Yeah, good choice, Community. Way to go.
Yeah, we all know where your minds are at.
Yeah. At least it's not Batman.
Moving on from Takumi at number 7, we have number 6.
Number 6.
Number 6, we have the Happy Mask Salesman from the Zelda Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and actually, what's OOA, Brad? I see that on the list.
Oh, I know that one.
Go ahead, Hunter. What is it?
Oh, it's like Oracles of something.
You've got it. You've got Oracle of Ages.
Oracle. Oh, okay, I didn't know the Happy Mask Salesman was in Oracle of Ages.
Very briefly,
enough,
right?
Does not appear in Oracle of Seasons. Only in the Ages version.
Interesting.
Yes. Anyway, Happy Mask Salesman is actually one of my favorite figures in gaming. A couple years ago, I actually ended up obsessed with this character. I was watching like deep dive YouTube videos on Happy Mask Salesman and reading internet lore obsessively for weeks on this character. I can't tell you why. I played. I did a replay of Majora's Mask, and for some reason, I just couldn't help myself. I wanted to know more about this character since it's so freaking spooky. Happy Mask Salesman originally appears in Ocarina of Time. It has a mask shop there in town, Hyrule Square there. Does disappear after the times shift. Anyway, he exists across the worlds of both Termina and Hyrule, selling masks of varied effects, often sinister in nature or lore. The Happy Mask Salesman has been throughout the Legend of Zelda series, but not featured prominently as he is in Majora's Mask. That's kind of where his main game there. He's ambushed by the Skull Kid and has the Mask of Majora stolen from his possession, and charges you with kind of getting it all back. He's kind of the central figure and sets off the entire conflict of that specific game. Like I said, I spent quite some time obsessed with this character, so and I know that I'm not alone. Because I've done the deep dive and the dig, this is the Happy Mask Salesman is a figure of internet speculation. Fan art, creepypastas have been written about Happy Mask Salesman. There's a reason this character's here, and it's because it's just such a spooky and they give you just enough to get you interested in the character, but leave that veil of mystery over what he's up to, and one of my absolute favorites. Does anyone else have feelings about Happy Mask Salesman?
He's a psycho.
Yeah, he's very
he makes those faces, right?
Like a
freeze frame.
A serial killer, something.
Oh, cool! I love this character. I really do. I'm so happy it's here.
It's a unique character to add in for Legend of Zelda, and it's not a huge. He has a little bit of a role, I feel like, in Ocarina of Time, but I love how they took his role in that and then just created all of Majora's Mask really based off of him, and there's so many cool masks you can get, and you can see his effects to this day because we have the masks in Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom, and they have actual uses for them. It's really, really cool. It's a really, really cool shopkeeper that really has impacted these games in the best way possible while being, as you said, the creepiest motherfucker ever.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
super
So
creepy.
creepy.
What are some of the fan theories, Brad, about like this guy and who he actually is and what his deal is?
You see, I don't know, you see a lot of weird stuff. Like I said, it's been a couple years since I really dug into this character big time, but a lot of, I've seen that it's actually, I've seen like there's a creepypasta about about haunted game carts. There's theories that it's actually just Majora. Trying to kind of mix things up. There's a lot to read there. It's pretty deep. Like I said, even just creepypastas alone, like the fan fiction on this character mostly is where you're gonna find your weirdness.
I bet you
As
never
for,
find
as
a
for
lot of.
official lore, it's very, very thin.
Yeah. I think
Does
there's
he
These are
sell
just
you
set on
anything
purpose.
else in Majora's Mask, or does he just task you with finding the mask?
Yeah, no, you get your you get a bunch of stuff off of him, if I'm not mistaken. You can.
It's been a long time since I played that game.
Yeah, you
so.
can. You mostly at Majora's Mask, you pick them up off of side characters like Bunny Hood and all the different ones there. I know he sells Mask of Truth.
So I was looking this up, and one of the things that you get from him in Majora's Mask is a song called the Song of Healing, which takes troubled spirits and turns them into masks, which is an interesting thing to think about, because that means that this guy's probably just been going around finding troubled spirits and turning them into masks for a long time. So
Yeah.
all these things are basically were spirits beforehand
there's
that are now trapped.
There's a certain Ed Gein quality to him, So if you don't know who Ed Gein is, that's who they based the Texas Chainsaw Massacre off of. Where he it's like, where did you get these masks from? Like, is this a real person's face? You never know with him, because he just looks like he's got a lot of secrets. And I think there's a lot of symbolism, just in general behind masks. And I think it's I think it was in Ocarina of Time. It may have been in Majora's, but I might be mixing these two up. But in one of those games, he actually gives you quests, right, to go sell masks to others, and
there's a
It's
mask
mask
exchange mini game, I think.
Right.
You, trade
Ocarina of
trade
Time.
up.
Ocarina
It
of
is
Time,
Ocarina of
right?
Time.
That's what I thought. Okay, so and I remember it was always. This was always weirded me out a little bit, because it was you're almost making people happy by helping them to hide their true identity behind this mask. Again, you get really dark with some of it. He's clearly created in an art style and the facial expressions and stuff to give off a very uneasy feeling just looking at him.
You said that's interesting about them hiding their identities. The mask that you get for doing all 4 of those trade sequences is actually called the Mask of Truth.
That's weird. I forgot.
That's the Mask
And,
of Truth trade sequence.
It allows you to understand what the gossip stones that are littered all over Hyrule are saying.
Normally
is
they
kind of
just tell you the time of day, right? But when you wear the mask, it'll reveal certain secrets and things. It's
sometimes cool. I think sometimes with shopkeepers, and I think this is one of a few that people could think of. It may not even necessarily be about how crazy the backstory is or what happens. Obviously, some of them have more than the others, but it's just how memorable they were. This is just such a memorable shopkeeper that you play those games, it just sticks with you your whole life. You're just I remember this one. And there's a few others like that on this list as well. So,
yeah, for sure. All right, well. We've cracked the bottom 5, I guess, or top 5. It was top 5, bottom 5. Bottom 5. Moving into the top 5. Let's say top 10 list.
Yeah.
At number 5.
Number 5.
Hello, my friends. Hyperion asked me to transport you to even bigger, better planets once you are through dispatching that runny little shit. Exciting new worlds like Eden 6. This one time on Eden 6th. If it took more than one shot, you weren't using it, Jacobs.
We have Marcus Kincaid for the Borderlands series. So this one, I'm going to kick it over to Hunter to introduce Marcus.
Well, a lot of love for Marcus Kincaid. I mean, let's get a lot of votes. I was actually a little surprised to see Marcus end up in our top 5. A really cool shopkeeper. I'm actually going to. I enlisted the help of one of our community members. Big fan of this person, Ryan Stubbs, who had put, I think, Marcus Kincaid at a pretty high mark. I don't think he had a number 1. It was like number 2, but definitely the biggest fan of Borderlands, I think, that we all know. So I asked him if he wouldn't mind doing a little video recording with me of his take on Marcus. And so I think we're going to listen to that now, and then we'll come back and maybe share some of our thoughts after that.
Awesome.
All right. So, you want to hear a story, huh? One about the merchant who makes sure the heroes are armed to the teeth so that they can save the day? No? Well, too bad. I'm going to tell you anyway. Marcus Kincaid is the purest essence of a merchant and capitalist. He is the 7th generation arms dealer in his family. And when he first came to Pandora, he was dealing directly with Dahl and Atlas as they were settling the planet. But when Dahl left, and in doing so left behind bands of lawless bandits, the planet became more hostile, and there is no better environment for a business-savvy arms dealer. And more than just that, Marcus does much more than weapons and ammunitions. He runs trade stations all across Pandora so that locals can get the goods necessary to survive. Some may see that as altruistic, but for Marcus it's just another way to stay in the black. In Borderlands 1, Marcus is a wary figure, cautious of Tannis and the vault itself. He's been here for years, done his own digging, and seen many others try, and found no evidence of the vault. But goes out of his way to make sure the Vault Hunters get to Firestone and start their adventure. In the comic series, he's even depicted as encouraging Lilith and Mordecai to join the search for the vault, as he was picking them up in the bus that we start the first game in. Some might wonder why he'd be willing to leave a safe bunker to help 4 strangers start an adventure he doesn't really believe in. But do you realize how good Vault Hunters are for business? He's connected deeply to main characters all across the canon. He's the 3rd ex-husband of Moxie, and we get lines in Borderlands 2 like, "Moxie hasn't mentioned me lately, has she?" Probably not. Along with, "Haven't talked to Scooter or Ellie lately. Not my biological kids, but they grew on me." Well, one of them did. Marcus being overweight was even Moxie's idea. She told him that if you look more obese, your enemies will underestimate you. And when Sanctuary was launched into the air, he contracts us to go find his personal stash of Moxie photos that fell into the cavern below. Marcus and Roland have a bit of a stressed relationship. Marcus is all too eager to sell to the bandits, even while living under the protection of the Crimson Raiders. Roland sees this as a problem, but is still the one who invited him to Sanctuary so that he'd be safe from Handsome Jack. We find evidence of this schism in the relationship in echoes scattered around early Borderlands 2, where Marcus has broad spectrum marketing, right? "Dear Roland, I can't help but notice the bloodshots you are fighting pack some serious firepower. If you're going to have a chance against them, you'll need to up your arsenal. You could always arm your men with some high-quality munitions from my store. If you buy from me, those bloodshots will be dead in no time." And then an exact copy, only replacing Roland and bloodshots with bloodshots and Crimson Raiders. And to the bandits, well, Marcus is seen almost as a god. These people have lost their sanity and live only for the violence that runs their lives and the planet itself. Without Marcus, much of that violence wouldn't be possible. He has huge golden statues erected to him in some of the bandit outposts. Marcus Kincaid is so much more than just a merchant when you take the time to stop and think about his place on Pandora. He is the series narrator and almost the guiding hand of the rotating main characters throughout the series. He ensures that the good guys can fight for themselves, while also giving the bad guys the ammunition to stay in the fight. Sure, some may look at that as a moral dilemma, But on Pandora, your morals end at your trigger finger. And nobody does bullets munitions.
Man, I had a couple items here put out there for Marcus Kincaid. Brian took all of them.
Yeah,
He took everything.
he took most of the ones I had as well.
Good job, Brian.
They're awesome, but he covered pretty much everything there and really did talk about like all the key points that really make him such a fantastic salesman, a capitalist, and he has an interesting place. Like he's some of the interesting place in Pandora. Nobody fucks with Marcus Kincaid because they all want their weapons, and he does. He provides them to everybody, and everyone just kind of leaves him alone for it.
Yeah, don't ask for your money back.
No.
Yeah.
No refunds.
No refunds. Stern stance on refunds.
there's an interesting thing that I when I was researching this a little bit more had happened to him that Ryan didn't actually bring up, which is that there was a moment where the Atlas Corporation actually went completely under, and Marcus had a huge stockpile, or found a huge stockpile of these Atlas weapons and thought he was about to make heyday. And Atlas had uploaded a brickware virus to every single piece of their weapons. So he's just sitting there on this mountain of guns that he can't do anything with. And in the capitalist person he does find a way to deal with them. He turns them all into scrap to make other guns and weapons and other things. So
yeah,
super cool.
It's such a great choice. I love this as a shopkeeper, and Ryan absolutely nailed it with talking about like his importance being the narrator. I mean, this is the first voice. This is the first person you see when you first boot up Borderlands. That tells you right away like how valuable of a character this is and meaningful it is to the entire series. There's a particularly fun part that I think is like it kind of lends itself to Marcus's personality really well that I really love. There's a scene, I don't remember which game it is, but there's a scene where he like, at the time you're led to believe that he's being killed, that Claptrap is killing him. You know, this is mega interplanetary ninja assassin Claptrap. Like basically, you know, shoots Marcus in the back a bunch of times. And then in Marcus's last dying words in the scene, he says something like, if it took you more than one shot, you weren't using a Jacobs. So just a salesman in. Of course, that turned out, spoilers, to be him faking his own death. I love the bit Ryan was talking about being Moxie's third ex-husband. He's kind of a hopeless romantic in a weird way. He owns all the vending machines, right? So he's the guy. He's the guy to get the guns and the ammo from. Like, and there's in a game that is in a series that is 100%, the number one thing about it is the guns and the ammo for them. Like, and they needed to make sure they had somebody really good providing them to you, and they definitely nailed it with Marcus Kincaid. It's a great choice. And thank you, Ryan, for giving us your thoughts. Some people might recognize that he was giving them from Travis's computer from DraftPunks. Ryan, congratulations! He just moved from one side of the country to the other, and he's getting himself set up out on the West Coast. So we wish him the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ryan. And if you want to hear more of Ryan, you can check him out over on the Friendly Fire podcast.
Yes, yeah, they have a great group of guys. I love listening to them. And playing Kingdom Hearts cracks me up.
Yeah, check out his Kingdom Hearts streams. All right, moving on from a merchant that's out of this world to a merchant that's under this world.
Nice segue.
At number 4.
Number 4.
Wow, thank you, Charon. Sorry. Oh, hi. Charon, look, I can explain. It's just, I've grown very accustomed to taking stuff throughout my father's realm. I wasn't stealing from you, honestly. That was not an understanding sound. Wait, why are you brandishing your oar in such a menacing way? Oh, it's because you're going to kill me.
We have Charon from Hades. All right, Zach, give us the lowdown on Charon.
So I had the pleasure of two different shopkeeps to introduce on this list. The first being the most talkative, and the second being one who never says a word, yet made our top 5 on the list of shopkeeps. Charon is such an enigma in the game, but you can't help but not love him as you're going through the world of the game of Hades, trying to escape from the depths of Tartarus. Charon doesn't say a single word, but he seems to know the inner workings of everything that is going on. And I think it's probably because he doesn't say anything, so everyone tells him everything. But
he says things. He says.
Just grunts.
Yeah.
And that's all you get. You talk to him and you build your relationship with him the entire time you're going through as you escape from Hades, because you find him. And every single level you'll find him at least once, if not twice, on every single section. And he's there to sell you goods that are going to help you, whether there's boons from the gods or maybe some extra health that you need, or like an increase to your health. He has great items there. He's also the brother of 2 of the other gods, one of which being Thanatos, who is the correct love option in Hades, if you are playing through that game. His Zagreus' relationship are fantastic. I mean, Meg's also fantastic, but it's definitely Thanatos there. But through this entire time, he will ferry you back anytime that you get to the top. You die, and you'll come back down. He does some of the ferrying for the underworld. He helps Persephone, your mother, escape from the underworld when she is getting out. And then when it is time for you to come back after you're bringing Persephone back towards the end of the game, he is the one who ferries you down. He doesn't say so with a word. He doesn't ask for the 2 coins. He just takes you back down because he actually has a deep love for Persephone in the game, and he really wants to take care of her. He seems to know everything that's going on in the entire kind of orchestra of characters and all of their ongoings. While doing this and being very thoughtful and really taking care of Persephone, you better not steal from him, because he'll show you how quick he can turn on you.
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite line of his in the game is.
If you steal, there's not every time that you come to a shop, but every once in a while you'll come, and there may be a bag of gold sitting on the ground. You can go and take this gold, and it usually comes up on the earlier half of when you're going through the levels. Charon will say, "No, sir," and takes you down, and you will have to fight him. And he is as hard as Hades at that point, because you have basically almost no buffs on yourself, and he will wreck you. He is one of the harder bosses you fight, but it is worth it if you beat him. You do get the shop cards, so I think everything you get from the shop is less money for the rest of your time going through, so it can really help you. But man, is he hard. Everything he does can just quickly end your run if you decide to take that route. But it's still really cool that it ends up doing it. You do have him as an optional boss.
It's so fun. I mean, it's what other shopkeeper is also a boss?
There are a few.
Emil from Nier Automata.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Isn't the shop? I think the shopkeep from I can't think of the name of that game. The one where you run around, you have like a single eye. 2D like Metroidvania. Whatever, I can't remember the name. Dead Cells. Dead Cells, you can fight the shopkeep.
Okay.
Also, that's another tough one. There's a few out there, but it's always fun when you can fight the shopkeep, but it actually is like a really good fight and will really make it's really interesting to be able to do that and to get a reward from it. But no, this guy, I absolutely believe he needs to be here. If for anyone who has played Hades, you form a fondness for Charon. He's just there. He's always there in your runs, and you always stop and talk to him and just get your
you talk to him
out
a
of the
lot.
way.
Like you talk to him a lot. Like you have a lot to say to him for nothing in return. In fact, a lot of
a
lot of what you learn and understand about Charon is like either through Zagreus's dialogue directed at him or with other people, Hermes and some other people like about him or about like, I stole from him. Do you think he's gonna be okay with that? Like that kind of stuff, and people like giving their thoughts on him. But it's such an interesting way to make a character where you're not really communicating with them at all, but like you learn so much about them indirectly. So
and just such a great character from mythology, and just a really good way to represent them. Because he's the boatman. Gotta pay your 2 coins.
What a great way to have a shopkeep to like in a mechanic to restart like a roguelike like that, to basically take you back to the start, like there's very few cooler ways I think for you to like start another run with than through Charon.
Yeah.
Right on. So, cracking the top 3, we have our second Zelda merchant.
Number 3.
Oh, it's Beetle. So, Brad, give us a skinny on Beetle.
Yeah, I'm going to make this short and sweet, kind of, because, there's not a whole lot to this character besides that it's just so damn jolly. What can you say about good old Beetle, right? I mean, he debuted in the Wind Waker. He sells Link a cacophony of very useful items, including bait to fill out your map. He carries heart pieces. He'll replenish your arrows when you're desperate. Wind Waker is such a spread out and kind of disparate world, right? So he's kind of a sight for sore eyes. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always happy to do business with you. He's pleasant and thankful for your business. With that iconic, I'll probably butcher this, but it's that thank you. And he kind of never it's just part of the character. It's what you've come to expect from good old Beetle. He's always a pleasurable character to bump into in any Zelda adventure. Like I said, the iconic thank yous and just the jolly vibes on Beetle is probably, I would assume, why he's here. He's just a good old character to run into in a Zelda game, and he always helps you along. Does anyone have feelings about Beetle?
He's just a handsome man with that beautiful bowl haircut. I mean,
yeah, sure.
Is he?
Shorts with a beetle.
It's the talk of the town.
He's like the bizarro version of that guy who puts like way too much sunscreen on his nose. Like he puts whatever on his nose that takes his skin off of it.
I will say, for as jolly as he is, he has a dark side too. Like if you go into a shop in Skyward Sword and you peruse his items and you decide that you don't want to buy anything and you walk out, he gets pissed and he drops your ass out of his shop through a trap door.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. I had forgotten that.
He's in there like pulling on this bike that's like pushing his flying shop around. And he's like, you know how heavy you are? You come in here, you don't even want to buy any of my stuff. Get the hell out of here.
I totally forgot about that.
You deserve it too. I mean, he should pay you back for all of the, just dumb shit that he buys off of you. I mean, think about, I saw a hilarious cartoon once that somebody made that was like from Breath of the Wild, where like Link just keeps coming up to him and just like selling him nothing but like bokoblin guts. And it's just like, oh, thanks, more guts. Like, oh, awesome. He's like just holding all of these guts.
How am I gonna do with all these guts?
And then he like turns around and it's like sees like a bunch of bokoblins like standing there, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he's like holding all of their guts. He's like, "Are those the guts of our friends and family? Did you just just buy those from him. What are you gonna do with those? But he's kind of like, in a way, like what I was referring to with the Happy Mask Salesman, where I mean, he's the Legend of Zelda game shopkeeper. Like he just appears in so many games, and you know, it's just so useful. And every time you see him, you're like, oh yeah, I need to go to Beetle. Like that, he just becomes this extremely memorable thing that you associate with games that you grew up playing, that you love, that you still play, and he's still around, bopping around, carrying way too much shit, and buying horrible things off of you so you can get stuff that you need.
So, I need to play more of the older Legend of Zelda games. I had like a stint on the N64, and then I played Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but I missed a lot of these other ones. And I'm curious if, while there's the curse on Link and Zelda, they keep getting reincarnated. Is this just happening to Beetle too? Is he somehow stuck here?
You can't wait if you start.
There's definitely a rabbit
you
hole
can't
there
go
somewhere.
down the Zelda timeline, because that's for a different podcast that they'll spend like 4 or 5 hours on. There's no way to even start to connect those things here.
We only have 3.5 hours here. Okay,
Yeah.
we gotta keep this thing moving.
Last thing I'll say.
Curious.
One last thing I'll say about Beetle is that his nipples are too far apart. Okay, they're too far apart. They're almost in his armpits, and that's
Asymmetrical nipples.
yeah. I think that's like very weird. He needs to get a shirt on because his nipples are very off-putting.
This is too
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Right. Not surprised to see Beetle here, but if I'm being honest, I'm surprised to see him so high on the list. People, I guess, just love this character for its vibes, you know?
We got a lot of Zelda fans in the community.
Sure.
Zelda is going to rise to the top of some of these lists until we get some
Pretty
more
cool.
people in there.
Absolutely. All right. Well, moving on to our number 2, a shopkeeper whose nipples you never get to see, unfortunately.
Number 2.
Over here, stranger. Got something that might interest you.
We have the Merchant from Resident Evil 4.
What are you buying?
Stranger.
The Merchant, I was kind of surprised that the Merchant wasn't number 1 on this list. When I think of video game shopkeeper, he's immediately the number 1 first character to pop into my brain. So it's not surprising to me that he's number 2, or that he's as high on the list. I just thought that he would probably be the obvious choice for number 1. The Merchant is one of the first characters you interact with in Resident Evil 4 at the beginning of, I think, Chapter 2. After Leon gets like knocked out and almost murdered by a Ganado, he's like chilling outside the window, knocking on the window like, "Hey stranger, come on over here." And you go outside, and he immediately just opens his coat, and you're like, "Oh my God, what's this guy flashing me?" Or what?
It's like a
But
weapon slasher.
what he's flashing you is all of his wares and goods. So he's got like just a ton of like grenades and you know guns and strips of ammo like inside of his coat. This guy is an absolute weirdo, and part of his charm is the mystery, because you know absolutely nothing about him. You don't get any backstory on this guy. He just magically appears in, ahead of you every step of the way through this game. You'll like just run through and you're like, I just fell down into a cavern underneath a castle, and this guy's, oh, there he is. Yep.
Yeah,
How'd you get here? We have no idea. Doesn't matter, stranger. Buy some weapons, And so, but the game doesn't really function the same. It wouldn't be the same game without the Merchant, because he's the primary method for buying new weapons. There's some that you find, but like upgrading your weapons and it would be very, very difficult to play this game. I'm sure there are plenty of people that have played the game without interacting with the merchant at all, but he's there to serve a function, which is to upgrade your gear, buy and sell all the treasure that you find, and help you kind of improve and spec out your character as you go through the game. You never really find out anything more about him. He's a weirdo. He wears a balaclava over his face, so you can't really see him other than his eyes. He's got these glowing red eyes. There's a lot of people that have speculated that he is a Ganado himself, but he's got like I don't remember what they call it, like the supreme parasite or something inside of him. So kind of like the boss characters. So he's not just a brainless zombie, but he can kind of control his own will. But I don't think any of that's ever confirmed anywhere. Capcom's never said anything about it. After the island explodes, you do find out that he is, I guess, still alive, because the Duke from Resident Evil Village makes a comment that he knows the Resident Evil 4 merchant. He says a line that the merchant says, and he's like, "Oh, that was from an old friend of mine that I used to see," or something like that. But yeah, he's just this really kind of mysterious character that just shows up, and he's got that kind of iconic, voice, the voice lines that he always says. And just a really weird, creepy dude. He also runs the target shooting in the new RE4, which is fun. You can take an elevator randomly up different places to this target range that's just built into this other guy's castle. You're like, how did you get real estate in this guy's castle to put this shooting range in? Super weird. But what do you guys think about the merchant?
I think people speculate that it might be Ganado too, because you can absolutely kill the shit out of him, and he just keeps coming back. Although that theory kind of gets thrown out the window when you play on the hardest level. If you kill him, he doesn't come back, which is really interesting. But yeah, I think it's weird to so many games don't give you that option, right? You have a shopkeeper, and you will maybe put a reticle over them and it'll just gray out. You can't. There's nah, kill him. You can kill him as many times as you want. It's no big deal. But it's just the fact that he he's a creep. He just shows up, flashes at you, and says a bunch of weird lines. And it's just another super fantastic game where you have this incredibly memorable shopkeeper, and definitely the inspiration for the Duke, who was also, I think, would have been a solid choice for this list too. But it's just nobody's going to vote for the Duke when the merchant is there, So.
Anybody just keep clicking back and forth in his inventory screen? It's just, what are you buying?
Yeah,
what are you buying? What are you buying? What are you buying?
You'll need guts to buy that weapon.
Well, yeah, he's got some great lines, and there's some fun fan theories about that. But again, I think it's just another just weirdo, fun shopkeeper that just pops in and helps you out, gives you some awesome stuff. I mean, he's just got some awesome stuff that you can get off of him. So.
For sure.
Yeah, I was also surprised. I thought he was gonna be number one.
Well, let's move on to our number one. Find out who the community voted as their number one shopkeeper.
Number one.
Even if I wanted to make such an insignificant gewgaw, I'm liable to chink my tools working on something so delicate and ladylike.
Then shingle it. Pattern weld the item with scap slag. Keep the layers thin. Alternate the overlay.
Okay, smart guy. And where do you propose to find a lump of quality scap slag? Last time I saw one, I could still get rigid down south. Shut your mouth. Is that... Where did you...
I had to get my hands dirty.
Well, don't just stand there. Let's do this.
At number one, we have Rock and Sindri from the God of War series. Honestly, just bravo Bravo, GGD Community, Brock and Sindri. I actually agree on this one. This
Absolutely.
is a great pick for number one. Just absolutely banger characters. I'm gonna let Hunter start on this one.
We all have a lot to probably say about these, but I agree. Great pick.
Can I just say one thing really quickly before you jump in? If you haven't finished God of War Ragnarok,
this is my first note.
Okay, I would say like skip past this because there's a lot of
this. There is no.
I gotta put my earmuffs on because I still haven't played Ragnarok.
Oh my god!
Yeah, if you don't know anything about this, then
fine.
you're gonna want to.
I'm gonna enjoy it still. It's fine.
There's no.
I'll put my earmuffs on.
You're doing. you're just SOL because there's just no way to actually convey how awesome these two are as shopkeepers and just as characters without spoiling the ever living hell out of Ragnarok. But a little bit of backstory. I mean, one of the things that makes them so cool is this is pulled straight from Norse mythology. There's not actually a lot of on them in Norse mythology. I think the only story that you can find them in is the Prose Edda, and it's not even the same names. The names I think were Broker and Itri. Anyway, it's based on the two dwarf brothers, blacksmiths. And they're just such a perfect choice for shopkeepers from that, because these are dwarfs in the mythology that really did craft things for the gods. You know, they made Mjolnir, and they talk about that in the games. They're proud of that. Like, the whole lore is basically that because they made Mjolnir for Thor, and then Thor used it to essentially commit genocide on the giants, that's the reason why these two made the Leviathan axe, which was then given to Faye, and that's why Kratos has it, and that's how you're introduced to these two characters to begin with, is that you basically bump into Brock in the first game, and he's like, "Where'd you get that fucking axe, you cock lump," or something, he's
definite foul mouth on that dude.
He's the best cussing video game character I think maybe ever. Like, he cusses with a purpose, and just so well written. And they're really great in the first game, and they really add a lot to that. And they're more pure kind of shopkeepers in that game, where they kind of it's written more into the mythology, but they kind of appear ahead of you, appear in random places, help you upgrade your axe, like give you some things, upgrade your gear. You can buy things off of them. Obviously in the first game, the two of them are they have the infighting. They kind of split up as a group. They actually literally split their brand in half, so such a cool thing that, like, you get half of this brand and then it comes back together later on. And Sindri couldn't be more of like the polar opposite to his brother, kind of a germaphobe, but also obviously a very talented blacksmith. And that whole story of them kind of coming back together and reuniting is really sweet and touching. But there is just no, like, more meaningful story for shopkeepers ever, in my opinion, than the two of them in Ragnarok. I mean, you could argue that their story really is the main story to that game. So
it is. It's absolutely core, and it's probably even more important. I mean, they're basically the catalyst for Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And what happens to Brock in that game.
It's so cool. And I'm going to let you kind of get into more of it, Wes, because I know you have a lot to say about it too. But just from the lore side of it again, in the actual lore, they really did make Draupnir, which is the ring, which is in Ragnarok, which, like, is like a thing that it, like, they don't do it in the actual mythology, but in the game, they kind of steal it back because, they steal it back from Odin because it was gifted to him, but because they didn't think that it was being used correctly. And I think Brock even says, that they ungifted it from him at one point. But yeah, I said a lot about the first game. Why don't you take it from here, Wes? Tell us what you think about Brock and Sindri.
I mean, there's so much emotion that goes into the story of Brock and Sindri and their backstory and their history. So huge spoilers here for those that haven't played Ragnarok. Definitely would recommend, again, skipping forward if you haven't played the game and you don't want to be spoiled. But it turns out that Brock has died. Basically, he got bitten by a super poisonous spider that was out for revenge for all the atrocities that Brock and Sindri caused by the creation of Mjolnir. And when they gifted it to the Aesir. And Sindri was so lost without Brock that he decided to basically revive him. He went to the Well of Souls and he retrieved Brock's soul from there. But he only, in the mythology, there are 4 parts to a soul, and he only retrieved 3 parts of Brock's soul. He lost Brock's soul's direction. So when he revived Brock's soul, it was Brock, but it was incomplete Brock. And so Brock has kind of like forgotten a lot. There's a part of his personality that's missing. He comes back blue. That's the reason why he's blue in the game.
It's not silver like they suggest in the first game. You know, they say it's because you put too much silver.
And Brock has no idea. And Sindri's living with this guilt for what has happened between him and his brother. He hasn't told Brock that he died and that he's been brought back. And this is like eating away at him through the entirety of Ragnarok. And when they take Draupnir to go and have it forged into the spear, they go to this like expert craftsman. It's like a mermaid, basically. And the mermaid's supposed to bless the spear, and she absolutely, completely ignores Brock because you basically can't see him because he's incomplete.
Yeah.
And there's this whole scene where previously Brock has a line, and he says, "The form of something doesn't matter. It's," what does he say? It's the basically saying like it's the kind of like it's what matters inside that matters, not not what you see on the outside. And so Brock realizes that when the mermaid doesn't see him, doesn't recognize him, that he's incomplete, and he realizes kind of what happened to himself. And there's this really actually super tender moment with this really gruff, grumpy blue dwarf and Kratos, where Kratos like kind of helps him come to terms with what has happened to him, and he kind of like repeats his line back to him. It's like it's not the form that matters, it's the function.
Yeah.
You know, and he has Brock bless the weapon, and it's probably one of the most like heartfelt, meaningful moments in that whole game. And then it all comes to a head, and you find out that Odin has been among the crew the whole time, and he straight up murders Brock and kills him.
Well, Brock confronts him. I think that, which is the interesting thing is, so like Odin is hiding kind of in plain sight, pretending to be somebody he's not, like as part of this group. And Brock, being the crass, like, you know, crotchety, confrontational person that he is,
doesn't mince any words.
He just goes right at him, and he basically is just like, "What the fuck have you done? Like, what do you? I don't. There's something wrong with you. Like, why aren't you helping more? Like, what?" And then, like, Odin just snaps out of this character because he just can't handle Brock yelling at him anymore, and just murders Brock right there in front of everybody, in front of his brother. I mean, what a moment in a video game. Like,
yeah. And Sindri had never had a chance to tell Brock what he did, even though Brock knew about it.
Yeah.
And with his dying words, Brock tells Sindri, like, "You got to let me go. I know what you did. But you need to move on." And it's just from there, Sindri just like spirals out of control, and looking at 120
I got goosebumps, man. It's just such. I mean, what other shopkeeper made you bawl your eyes out like that? Not many for me. And like throughout all of this that's going on, there's still the shopkeepers. Like, you're still going to them, upgrading your weapons, you know, like buying things, and so they're still acting in that role, but in a way that it's just who they are. It's like who they are as characters. And there's one other thing, if you want to spoil it. I mean, the ending of that game is
Yeah, I don't think we need to
All
go
right.
there, but I mean I mean the death of Brock is basically what determines what the characters do, and they take the decision that okay, Ragnarok needs to happen. They've been trying to prevent it the whole time. And then they, that's kind of the catalyst basically that says, nope, we're going through with this. This is going to happen now.
Yeah.
So
I would just say that to me the most impactful moments in that game, including the one we haven't mentioned, are from Brock and Sindri. Like the whole time they are in the spotlight, and their story it's so well written, and it's well acted, and you feel for them. It's crazy. Great shopkeepers. Very proud of this choice, everybody. I love this.
And they upgrade your gear.
And they upgrade your gear. Yeah.
So 4-man function, amazing pick. So if you've listened to that and you haven't played through the games, sorry if we've spoiled too much, but we can't not talk about it. It's just too good. So, anything more about Brock and Sindri, or put a bow on this thing?
I think you put a bow on it. This has been an insanely good list.
It's such a good list.
Each of our lists has been really good, but like for this topic, I think this is about the perfect list.
I want to give Zach a minute, maybe 2 minutes, real quick, because there was one shopkeeper that was right on the outside of this. We're talking by decimal points, looking in, that we were actually kind of debating, like, do we just shift them into Zur's place, even though Zur is like super fun and everything, but I know that there's at least a couple of people who find this one really meaningful. So we don't normally do honorable mentions, but I think we need one honorable mention for this one character that Zach is very fond of, that I know some other people are very fond of, that almost made it.
I'll keep it really short then. Our honorable mention for this one is going to be Will from Moonlighter. He is you. You are him, and your entire purpose of the game, while it is a roguelike, is to go into dungeon and find weapons and then to sell them. So it's a very meaningful character, and you get to explore and understand more about the world as you are being the shopkeeper. You get to name your own prices. And if things sell, that's because of you. It's not because of anything else. So it's a really cool character. And Hunter and I did talk about it, and I was like, no, Zur deserves to be here. I am glad that he's getting his honorable mention though, because it's a super, super fun game and a super neat character. So check out Moonlighter if you haven't as well. Great indie.
I second that. That game is fantastic.
Nice. Great honorable mention. All right, so I'm just going to recap the list really quickly, and then we will move on to the next segment. So at number 10, we have Zur from Destiny. Number 9, we have the shopkeeper from The Messenger. Number 8, Tom Nook from Animal Crossing. Number 7, Tai Takami from Persona 5. Number 6, the Happy Mask Salesman from the Zelda series. Number 5, Marcus Kincaid from Borderlands series. Number 4, Charon from Hades. Number 3, Beetle from the Zelda series. Number 2, the Merchant from Resident Evil 4. And number 1, Brock and Sindri from God of War. Again, great list, everybody. Thank you for participating and for helping us come up with this great list of characters that we could just gush about and count down for you guys. So it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, one point of note, just so nobody thinks that we actually ever do that. We have never actually moved any characters. We keep the numbers pure based on what they are, and that was mostly just tongue in cheek from me. Like, we weren't really going to replace any of them. If they find their place in a slot, then we're going to put them in there, despite whatever our opinions on the characters are. So, small little side note.
Thanks for mentioning that. Now it's time to mention our topic for next month. Next month, we will be looking at top 10 video game robots. So it's kind of coming back a little bit towards the top 10 ninjas countdown that we did earlier, but we thought this would be a super fun topic to count down. There are a lot of good robots in video games, and it's time to count them down. So we'll be throwing that up for nominees here sometime in the coming week, around the first week of November. And we'll be looking for your robot nominees.
Not the one from Heaven's Vault. That belongs on the top 10 worst robots.
Yeah, probably not that robot. I mean, I don't know. Dan might want to put him on there. He seemed to like him a lot better than other people.
Probably will. Now people are probably going to vote for him just because they'll think it's funny. But
Oh boy.
that robot sucks.
You had to say something, didn't you?
I did. At least I didn't say Batman.
Batman could be a robot.
Batman's
sure.
basically wears a robot suit.
Yeah, he does. All right.
All right. Anyway, thank you guys for sticking with us so far.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will talk about Turnip Boy in Indies Nuts. All right, welcome back for Fantasy Football Weekly. Oh, I'm sorry. I think we're actually here to talk about indie games. Join us on our Fantasy Football podcast for hot fantasy football talk. In the meantime, this is Indies Nuts, a monthly discussion about an indie game that we all play through and have a short game club style discussion about. This month we were playing Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, developed by Snoozy Kazoo, published by Graffiti Games. This was Hunter's pick for last month, and so I'm gonna kick the conversation off to Hunter to see how he enjoyed Turnip Boy.
Okay. For starters, sorry we were talking so much fantasy football during our break and was delaying us getting started again. I was very happy with my choice for a number of reasons. One of them was the one that I had said on the last podcast, which was that there's so many games coming out in October that we all want to play. I didn't want to have something that was too time consuming, that we felt like we needed to play instead of what we wanted to play. It's a very short game. I think I probably got through it in about 2.5 hours. I probably did some extra stuff. I was having a lot of fun with it. There's kind of some bonus end game stuff, oddly enough, which is kind of hilarious to me. I was not expecting that. But I didn't really know anything about this game before picking it, other than I had heard some other people had enjoyed it. I had seen that it was short. I saw that it was on Game Pass. I was very happy to see that a lot of people joined in and playing with us this month, which is always fun. But one of my favorite things about it was, this might have to do with some of the other Indies Nuts games we played in the last couple of months. I died. And it was everything I thought it could be again. I didn't know that I was going to die in this game. Like, when I started playing it, I was like, oh god, it's another game where I'm just going to wander around and talk to things and not die and everything. And then I got killed. I got hurt by some snails. I was like, can these things actually hurt me? So I went and touched one and I was like, whoa, I got hurt. So then I touched it again and I touched it again and again. And I was like, is it going to let me die? And then it died. It was like, you died. And I was like, yes, I can die. And then obviously it's very cool. You can get, a sword. You can fight back against the snails. I should probably intro the game a little better. This game is very, cartoony, isometric, kind of top-down. I don't even know what you would describe this game as. It's
Zelda clone.
It's like a Zelda, like a top-down Zelda clone style game. Yeah.
It's a very sassy game. Maybe one of my favorite silent protagonists ever. Why did they make this little Turnip Boy a silent protagonist other than just to be funny? He never talks. All he does is let the other characters talk to him. He talks to blueberries and lemons. They all have these weird things going on. These weird interactions with each Turnip Boy.
He's got one line. It says, "Okay."
I guess that counts. But he loves ripping everything up, including his. So it starts off the Mayor Onion is the villain and basically stops by to try and get Turnip Boy to pay his taxes, but Turnip Boy, being the anarchist that he is, just rips that shit up. The first thing you do in the game is rip up your tax bill. And then you're out into the world and you've committed tax evasion, and the rest of it is basically just trying to make up for that by running a bunch of kind of errands for Mayor Onion and you like, I mean, there's just so many little weird, funny, like interactions you have with like different vegetables and tater tots and stuff throughout the world that I felt like I was just kind of grinning the whole time with just how stupid and fun it was. There was one particular one that I really loved after you did get the Zelda sword. I don't even remember what the sword was. It was like some kind of like bamboo sword or something.
Dirt sword.
The dirt sword.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like on your way to get it, like you come across this like one like blueberry or something that has like a snail. It's like the landlord over this snail
like
called Jerry.
Like Kevin the snail or something.
It's Jerry, and then and he's like, I just can't get Jerry to pay me his rent, you know. And so you come back, and like I'm like, are they gonna let me kill Jerry? And of course, like right off the bat, you kill Jerry, and he's just like poof, like dead snail. And you go back to the blueberry, and he's like, holy hell, did you just kill Jerry? He's like, wait, is that money? It's like he goes over and collects the rent, and like the whole game is just that kind of stuff. Like it's just very weird and funny, you know.
I played it like a month ago, like right after we decided what we were gonna play, and just burned through it really quick because it's not a very short game or a very long game. And I had to have my daughter played through it as well, and she loved it. She had a heck of a good time with this game. She's actually played it, I think, twice now. And I had to have her recap me on everything that happened in this game, all the weird shit that happens, because there's just so much of it. It's like, oh yeah, you have to find the baby carrot behind the trash can and then take it over.
It's in the trash can. It's like a carrot dumpster baby. I thought it was in the trash can.
Maybe it is.
They threw the baby in the trash.
One of the other characters was like, we had this weird small thing that looked like us, but it definitely wasn't one of us come in here. So we just like dealt with it. And it was just like, yeah, I threw that thing in the trash.
Yeah, it's like, we didn't know what it was. It was freaking us out. It was like a little carrot baby.
That's so funny. Then you take it up to the blueberry. This game was so much fun. It was a joy to play, especially with everything else coming up this month. Something short and quick and easy. I'm surprised how many times I died. I not a ton, but I did die a few. I think the hardest for me was that the human.
Yeah, yeah. That's where I died as well.
That was the hardest part of this game for me. I agree.
Stupid zombie.
Makes sense because it's human right. Up on
what's her name? Megan, or she had a
Liz.
Name.
It was Liz the
that's
human.
Yeah, Liz.
Did y'all do the train challenge stuff?
Yeah,
I didn't do that. I when I finished it, I didn't go back. So.
But you had to do. I ended up beating. Shout out to Pucho here because his comment was, "Got the platinum for Turnip Boy."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Congratulations, Pucho, on your platinum.
There's a mystery or a hidden achievement that you get from the train where you fight basically like yourself. It's like a dark version of you. Like it's a dark Link, but it's a dark Turnip Boy. And that fight's actually pretty hard too. But oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
There was just so much stupid little things like that in it. Like they were funny.
Yeah, there's crazy lore to the world too. Did you end up seeing all of the lore or did you read all of the things that you ripped up?
I read
a lot of it. Yeah.
Like the fact that the entire world is just because a nuke went off and caused nuclear radiation, causing all the plants to become alive.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wild. Just craziness.
But Brad, you have like
secret boss fight.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. I think. Brad, what did you think? I want to like get like people's like favorite like kind of random moments.
No, it's like a big Zelda kid. Turnip Boy is like right up my alley. Like, like everyone else, I found it like adorable. I dig the tone. I dig the sense of humor. I thought ripping up all the documents was like a great way to kind of move the story forward and stuff. And again, a lot of the lore is delivered that way. It's a very funny kind of way to go about things versus like it's like almost like the anti-Tom Nook, right? Like it's like. You owe this debt, but you're like, fuck you, instead of, instead of scrambling to pay it back, you're like actively trying to undo this, this Onion Lord's evil deeds and such. It's a small map, so you have a lot of backtracking, but like normally I'm not real hot on that, but like here it was fine because I felt like every time you pass through town again, there was like a new character or like one of the vegetables or fruits or vegetables always had like a new dialogue or like a quest to undertake, which was awesome. Gameplay wise, I found it pretty tight once you get used to that roll. It's a little wacky at first. I felt like I was like rolling all over the damn place, but once you understand like how far you're gonna fling yourself and you kind of tune in there, I found it to be pretty tight.
Actually, the roll is like a trip, right?
Yeah, it's a trip.
Yeah,
trips and then like rolls.
Right. So I wasn't expecting that, but I found a couple of kind of tight spots in like the dungeon areas where like I didn't know I could get around like a box or something. So minor nitpick there. Overall I was pleased with the game. Spent about, I don't know, maybe a little 4 hours with the game, just kind of trying to like pick up everything I could. I can appreciate a game that isn't, in the era or shit, even just the month of, blockbuster video games seemingly coming out once a week. Like it was nice to have just this little 4-hour adventure game, bite-sized little deal, and it was available on Game Pass, so it didn't cost me an extra dime, which is pretty sweet. As far as boss, like you mentioned, Hunter, I found the most challenging one, the mutated human Liz. So naturally, that was actually my favorite because it required the most out of me.
Yeah,
so to speak, So yeah, I had a good time with it. A really fun, cute little game. I give it a 7.5 for what it is.
What was your go-to hat? Did y'all have go-to hats?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I wore a crown.
DLC.
I wore the crown the whole time.
I had loved the DLC hat. Like what the stupidest thing? So like you
I
have
don't
to
remember now.
You
That's a
find
great question.
find the DLC hat like just back in the mailbox randomly, and I don't even know why I went back over there. You actually get another hat from the mailbox later. I'm sure I missed a bunch of hats, but I wore that one most of the time. It just felt so silly.
I got like 10 hats out of the mailbox, like right at the beginning. It's like hat.
I really like. I don't know if you ever seen like this game had like Andy Samberg, Lonely Island. I threw it on the ground energy, just like being like an anarchist for no reason. Like one of my favorite moments was when he like goes and helps find Holly's phone, but then it says like in the subtext like you immediately change her password.
That's right.
It's just like a little dick.
Yeah,
She's like, did you change my password?
Yeah, it's like why? And he rips up somebody's
funny.
love letter. He's like, "Can you take this love letter over to him?" It's like, "Sure."
I can't remember. Somebody else like makes you like a really nice like painted picture or something like as a reward for what you did, and you just like immediately take it and just.
It was the manga. It was the
oh my god, that was my favorite.
They drew the turnip
like the manga
turnip girl,
and
he rips it up, and the achievement for that was waifu.
I only got that was one of my favorite things to rip up was that one because I was like I want to rip some of those up sometimes. But I think like I only got stuck one time, and I was honestly like a really rewarding getting stuck because I was only stuck for probably 5 minutes or something. I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? And it was like the time that I was supposed to like get that like influencer girl like some subs. You know, she's like, I need subs.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get me more subs. And I was like, what the hell is she even talking about?
Sub
Am
shop.
I going to get her subs? And then I was like,
went to the sandwich, right?
I went to the sandwich shop. I was like, oh my god, she's talking about actual sandwiches. I was like, this is...
You got her a tier 3 sub.
I was like, I'm so glad I got stuck for a minute on that because it just made it even funnier when I was like, I got to stop taking anything this game is doing seriously because this is not trying to be serious at all, ever.
I have a question for Zach about this because I think I understand the reference, but I'm not 100% sure. There's like a cherry that's like chilling outside one of the houses, and his name is Kakuin.
Oh,
and he's got a specific. I think that's a reference. I think it's a reference to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Yes, because there's a character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure named Kakuin, and there's this like meme from one of the episodes where he's like juggling a cherry in his tongue, and he's like with a cherry. I think it's a reference to that, but you don't do anything with that character. Like, there's no like interaction other than just talking to him, and he doesn't say anything.
But you do see those symbols coming up from his head, which in the like overworld, which is like the same things that they do in the JoJo. Now I'm thinking about it, that's 100% what it is. It's like it's a JoJo. That's so good. I didn't even realize that.
Went right over my head. I don't know the anime, but that's awesome.
Oh man. One of my favorite moments in the game was the whole quest line between the potatoes and the fact that the dad potato looked younger than his son because he'd been preserved.
He'd been in the refrigerator.
Great writing.
Oh, man. It was everything about that game from start to from beginning to end was just
for like a 2-hour game. I mean, it's just stuffed with great little moments.
Yeah, it doesn't waste any time with you. It's just packed.
And
we just talk really quick.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, can we talk really quickly about the end game story and like what you find out at the end?
I think we do because I actually did. Anybody actually finish without having everything ripped up?
I did both. I finished
the first time
having everything, and then
I liked that. Yeah, I had missed one thing. I think they make. I was wondering if all of us did the same thing. Is I feel like they make one of them a little bit harder to come by on purpose, just so that you're like treated with the, you didn't rip everything up, so you didn't beat me, and then it like gives you a chance to go back and replay it because you don't get the true ending unless you've ripped up all the things. And I had missed one that was a acorn real estate one. Was the one I missed.
Oh, that was so fun.
Yeah,
I missed
the land that you're on for a leaf.
I missed something that there was like some portrait or something in the wall of the bunker. As soon as you like go down into it,
okay,
like there was like directions for the bunker or something like that, and I was like, okay, well, whoops, I guess I missed that.
The bunker where your dad had his Don Turnip Chino had his secret.
No, the bomb shelter. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
But no, keep going into that because I want to. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, what's going
on? Yeah. I mean, what like the whole big surprise ending at the game where like basically the lemon dude and the mayor onion and then your dad had a secret identity where he's basically like the crime boss.
Like the vegetable mafia.
The Don Turnipchino is like basically keeping like all of his operation underneath the greenhouse that you own, and that's the real reason why Mayor Onion is kind of after you because they had like a big falling out. And Mayor Onion had like you go down the ladder far enough, you actually come across his nuke, which you can blow up.
That's a die scenario.
Don't hit that thing.
Yeah, so
no, do hit it. Hit it. Blow yourself
so yeah, you can end up fighting Mayor Onion without having ripped everything up, but like he basically goes like, I will always live on in the documents you didn't rip up, something like that, and so you have to go back and redo it, and when you do, you get treated to this crazy secret ending where you have to fight the onion god or whatever it is. The god onion or onion god? I think it was god onion.
He blows up the nuke and mutates himself.
Yeah, he mutates himself into this like kind of kaiju onion fight. I don't even know where you're like fighting in space.
You're fighting on the moon, basically.
On the moon. It's insanity.
You're fighting on the moon.
and the radishes are there. By the way, one of those radishes was named Chad, which just made me so happy that there was a Chadish.
I didn't put that together.
Chad the radish. Anyway, you have to like fight this onion god like to actually beat the whole game in its entirety, and it's kind of just something else to see. Like it's hard to even describe unless you're playing the game.
One thing that's also like I feel like a small quality of life, which I think was great specifically for this game because it is supposed to be short. It's not supposed to be something that's going to take up a ton of your time and makes it easy to 100% the game, is that after you've beaten the game the first time, they give you this like mystic cat that you can go to.
Right, in the cave.
In the cave. That helps
the tangerine dog.
Yeah, I ran into that.
It helps you find the rest of the things that you're missing or give you a hint in the right direction. and it was really appreciated because I was enjoying playing the game, but I just wanted to like get to I wanted to do everything and find everything, and it helped me to get all of those things that I needed. So it was a nice little addition, nice quality of life for something short like this. I really appreciate that. But then it did help me get to go do that boss fight, which was a ton of fun.
There was some fun, like...
So you blew the race.
There were some fun skills that you got. I mean, there were freaking portals in this game. Like orange and blue portals. And you have like a gun that you can create them, which made for some kind of fun, unique, kind of light puzzle areas where you have to figure out how to use the portals to move around the map. You know, they just kept kind of like adding little things on for like the few hours. It actually felt like you were playing a lot longer than you actually were, just because there was really never a dull moment in it.
Yeah, this game's packed. It's always something to do.
Yeah.
Tight 3-hour game.
Should we read off like any of these comments from people?
Yes. Yeah. We had a comment from Randall Reborn, who says, "Dude, you can't learn of a game called Turnip Boy commits tax evasion and not play it. 100% in." And he followed up with a quote that says, "I am a blueberry." And one other one that I really wanted to read from community member Artemis. "Okay, quickest game ever. Other than unpacking, I really did enjoy this game. The puzzles and the searching for objects to return to the veggies was super cute. I did like the music at the end. But the ending was a shocker for me. Haha. Again, good game and quick for me too, since I have trouble completing games these days. The dialogue, goodness, I didn't realize that some of them would speak like teens. Talking about streaming subs, and they had some good Easter eggs as well. Like when you get the soil sword is a Zelda reference for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Thank you, Artemis, for playing along and for submitting your thoughts on the game. I think we also had a couple other members. We mentioned Pooch already, who played along, and LF Servant 5. It looks like he played as well. Said, who ratted out that he's dodging taxes.
I also want to mention quickly that I was very pleased with myself when there was a section of the game that had a jack-o'-lantern in it. It felt like I picked a good October game, you know?
Yeah.
It was a good little Halloween section. So I loved it. I mean, I thought it was, I would definitely recommend this to just about anybody. I mean, especially if it's like on Game Pass or free, you know, like it's such a short, like enjoyable, like, you know, just honestly distraction from anything else going on. Like,
apparently it's not on Game Pass anymore. It was until like the 15th of October.
Kind of got lucky with that one, kind of jump into it. So,
but I played it on Switch and it was like, I don't remember. It was like $8 or something to buy
it's
it.
on
It was
sale all the
super
time.
cheap.
I got it from a Humble Bundle like maybe a year ago or something, and that was basically free. Like paid $10 or something.
I can't imagine it really ever being more than like $10. Like, you know, my guess is you'd be able to find it for that. Anybody who has listened to this has not played it. It's definitely worth $10 in a couple hours of your time. It's a fun game.
Definitely. Well, let's go around the horn real quick and give our final scores on the game. Brad, I think you already mentioned, you said you scored like
7.5.
7.5?
Yep, 7.5 works for me.
Perfect. Zach, what about you?
I'll give my score and my favorite line from the game. My favorite line was when you're on the endless train, and one of the times that you beat the conductor, he asks you if you are dodging or if you're tripping, and he realizes that you're just tripping. And he goes, "Oh my god, I just lost to a tripping rutabaga." And on that line, I give it an 8. I think this game was just a ton of fun. So,
Hunter.
I also had an 8 in my head. You know, it's hard to like get like you want to give it a higher score because again, this is a game that like did exactly what they were trying to do. Like I couldn't offer any feedback. I don't think I would like have any suggestions for how to improve it. Like it just is what it's trying to be, what it is, and it was fun, and everything like felt and played right. So, but I'm not gonna I'm also not going to rank it where I would put like Spider-Man 2. So we'll just put it at 8. Really good game. And Artemis, I also really like that song at the end. Go to bed, Turnip Boy.
As for me, I think I'm with Brad. I think I'm gonna give this game like a 7.5. I did enjoy my time with it. I enjoyed playing through it. It's a good game. I like the graphical style, and actually the music is surprisingly catchy running through there as well. The thing I guess that it maybe fell a little bit flat with me was a little bit of the humor in the game. It's definitely, as Artemis mentioned, I feel like it's definitely tuned a little bit more towards a younger audience. Like if you're kind of like a snarky teen or a preteen, it definitely
or just a really immature 43-year-old.
It definitely kind of like goes that angle, and which I can totally appreciate. It just doesn't necessarily resonate with me as much. So a lot of the jokes I was like, yeah, I would probably, if I was 30 years younger, I'd probably like enjoy that joke a lot more than I am. But for what it is, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's fun to play. It's fun to run around and talk to the different characters and just see the zaniness that's happening on screen. And it's a good game. It's a good indie game. It was worth the price of admission for me. I actually paid for the game. I didn't play it on Game Pass, and I don't regret it. So I liked it.
Awesome.
Cool.
What's next?
All right, so that's it for Turnip Boy. What's in the chamber? We have Norco next month. Norco is kind of a gritty noir, like near future adventure game set in kind of like the deep south. This was a game that was recommended to the Great Game Debate crew last year by Marcus Stewart from Game Informer, and at the time it was like his game of the year when he recommended it to us, and it's been on my list for a long time to check out. And looking at the how long to beat, I think it's like between 5 and 7 hours. So again, not a super big commitment. I know there's a lot of big games out right now. But it's got like a really gritty, like pixel art aesthetic, and supposedly the story is phenomenal. So
it looks really good. It looks the art style is it just oozes personality. It's kind of I forget the name of that game that I played a long time ago, but it just has like really cool pixel animations and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like an old LucasArts style adventure game. It's on Xbox, it's on PlayStation, it's on PC. I don't know if it's got a Switch port yet or not. I don't think it does.
I think it's on PC Game Pass. I don't know if it's I think it is on Game Pass right now though, if I remember right. So if anybody's interested in checking it out there and playing along with us.
Yeah, we'd love you to check it out. Again, the game is called Norco, Norco. And we'll be talking about it next month on Indies Nuts.
Fantastic.
And with that, it's time to get hyped with Hype Off!
Hype Off!
All right. So, for Hype Off, for anybody that hasn't listened to the show before, Hype Off is a segment where the four of us look into the future, look into the crystal ball for the release calendar for the next month, which is November 2023. And we each bring a game that we are hyped for that's releasing in the next month. And then we're going to go through and give our thoughts on the game and what we think the Open Critic cumulative score will be. And then we'll have a little game with that. There'll be a little winner, a little loser, and be a little consequence if you happen to lose in that one. So anyway, before we go into October's results, we're going to talk about November. So kicking things off, Hunter, what are you bringing to Hype Off?
This one is right around the corner. I was actually a little worried that we might get some scores for it before we showed up here tonight, but it doesn't have any scores yet that I'm aware of. And that is RoboCop Rogue City, which is out on November 2nd, I think. Right.
Yep.
And this game had a demo recently that I think kind of surprised a number of people just at how much fun it was and how good it was. I've actually watched our friend Sal Viesca play the Terminator game that they made. I forget the name of this group, but they made a Terminator game that he plays sometimes. It's like really kind of a little bit of like a hidden gem. It's a little bit of a cult following. It's kind of a first-person shooter Terminator game, and this is a RoboCop kind of first-person shooter, and it's just really, really a faithful use of the source material. This is a RoboCop shooter. This is like an excuse to be just a slow-moving human tank that just destroys things, that just literally blows people like 20 feet back with every gunshot, a lot of destructible environments. And the demo was just really, really well received by a lot of people who are now, I think, hyped for it, and for good reason. And the cutscenes look good. I mean, they definitely did a great job modeling RoboCop. I mean, he's got that perfect, RoboCop kissable mouth on him. He like does that like tanky movement where he like turns his head and then like moves his body later, and he's
like how you utilized your chair to do that. That was pretty nice.
Do like a little like it's a game, like there's no need to like go run into cover and like pop out. You're just like boom, 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 boom. Like you're just destroying everything. The music is spot on to the music out of the movies. So yeah. And I think it's going to be really, really a lot of fun, especially for people who like RoboCop. So I'm pumped for it. It's coming out soon. I don't know if I'm going to play it right away or not, but I'll probably see how it's received and make my decision from there. But I hope it's good, because it'll be a lot of fun.
So what do you think it's going to score?
I unfortunately think it's going to be a 72. I said that for a couple of reasons. So, I don't think it's going to be a game for everybody. I think it's a really good demo game. Like, I think people playing it in a very small vertical slice is one thing, but playing many hours of like kind of probably very samey levels where, maybe the allure of just blasting people to pieces and the environments and the graphics kind of wear off, and it just starts to get a little monotonous, might wear on people. And also just think that the kind of RoboCop cringe on purpose vibe might be lost on some people. I don't know that everybody's going to quite understand that it's probably intentionally cringy at times. So I don't think it's going to be reviewed as well as I want it to be. I probably would give it a higher score after I play it. That's just a guess. So I'm going to keep it low for that reason, but I'm going to say a 72.
All right, Brad, what do you think? What's
Yeah,
RoboCop?
Kind of with Hunter on that. I think this game is going to appeal most to fans of the film franchise. I guess critic scores probably fall around 76.
All right, Zach.
Yeah, I it's RoboCop. It's gonna be silly, but I don't see this as appealing to a large amount of the media and a large part of the gamer base, especially if it's gonna seem like it's gonna be the same. Just for the memes, I'm going with a 69 projected score.
All right.
Nice.
I'm going with 78. I guess again with kind of what you guys already mentioned, just the fact that the combat is kind of slow for a first-person shooter. I think that the novelty is probably going to wear off pretty quickly, and it definitely is a really nice-looking game. This is Unreal Engine 5, and I think it shows. But I don't know how, with that kind of slower-paced combat, if that's going to kind of resonate with people for really, really long periods of time, depending on how long the campaign is. So I'm going with the 78. All right, moving on. Zach, what are you bringing to Hype Up?
I got another remake remaster of a game, and I hope it actually gets reviews this time.
Another
Unlike
RPG
my last-
remaster?
This one's
What?
gonna get
Oh my gosh, this one will get reviewed though for sure. I'm bringing the Super Mario RPG remake. This game, it's just going to be a ton of fun for a lot of the people in my generation of gamers. I know that y'all grew up with the Super Nintendo. You had availability to play this game. I didn't really know much about this game at all until I got the SNES Classic. So it's kind of a little bit of a game that went under the radar for a lot of people in like their early 30s, like myself, who really didn't play on the Super Nintendo. But what I have played the game, it's been a ton of fun. I also know that they got a lot of the inspiration for Paper Mario from the Super Mario RPG game. And it just feels like that's going to kind of fill this void that has been there without I feel like the most recent Paper Mario was Origami King. And
that's right.
I heard it was good, but I heard that was like kind of maybe a slight miss by Nintendo on it. Like I think it came around with like an 80 or something like that on its review score.
Yeah. I couldn't
because
finish it.
because they're doing things that are fun with it, but it's like not hitting the same notes that those earlier, like the original Paper Mario did. I think this game's going to be a ton of fun. I'm super excited to play this with my kids. As it's coming on the Switch, we'll be able to sit around on the TV. We'll play the Super Mario RPG remake. They'll get to see the characters they love, join my team, and fight against some of them. And I think it looks really pretty. The it's not even just a coat of paint. They built this game from the ground up again and made it look brand new and like a new game today. So I'm really excited about this. With that being said, it is a remake. I think that there is going to be some kind of the critics are maybe not going to hit it. Like Super Mario Wonder has been doing really well this month, and the more recent Super Mario games that aren't the Paper Mario have done really well. But I think that there's some nostalgia with this game. I also think that it's not your mainstream style of Mario game, so it's going to get a little bit lower. I'm thinking this is probably going to come in somewhere around an 82.
Okay, Hunter, what do you think?
It looks good. It's kind of got that. Kind of looks like the Link's Awakening kind of remake in a way, just like really, really well done, like not changing anything about the core game because it doesn't really need to be changed. And I think a lot of people are gonna be very, very surprised who have not played it with just how good of an RPG it is. And I don't think there's really going to be anything negative that people will have to say. It's a Mario game, it's an RPG, Like, the only negative thing is like, oh, it's just like it was before. But that's only coming from people who, played it before. But they're not going to be unhappy with it, I don't think. I'm going to give it an 87 because I think people are going to be very... I mean, it's good. I mean, by itself, like back in the day, it was definitely like a 9 out of 10 type game. So I don't see it dropping too much from that.
Right on. Very bullish. Brad, what about you?
This game is a classic. It crushes. It looks awesome. 85.
85. All right. I also had an 85. I think that especially coming off of a game like Sea of Stars, right? So, which was incredibly lauded this year. Super Mario RPG was one of the first games to do that kind of like timed press on attack for extra damage. So people seeing that again brought out in Sea of Stars, I think that's going to play well with a lot of people. The game looks really nice. The soundtrack for Mario RPG is a banger. Yoko Shimomura did the soundtrack for that game, and she's coming back. She's remixing all the music. So it's going to have an incredible soundtrack. It looks gorgeous. It's colorful. It's bright. And if I recall, I don't think Mario RPG is a super long game. I think it's like 25 hours, 30 hours, maybe something like that. So people are going to be able to run through it fairly quickly. So I think it's going to be pretty well received as well. 85 for me. Brad, you're next up. What do you got for?
This month I'm picking Persona 5 Tactica. That it's an upcoming tactical RPG set in the world of Persona 5. It's coming to Switch, PlayStation, everywhere. It'll be all over the place. I'm pretty sure all 4 of us got our chance to get our hands on it at PAX. Am I right? Did anyone miss out on that? Or
I didn't play it. I couldn't. I didn't get in the line. I couldn't. We got rejected every time we went.
Yeah, the line was crazy. We got lucky on our last day there. We got into that.
That's right.
Persona 3 Reload.
Was it just the 2 of us then, or Hunter? Did you get to play?
No, I wouldn't play it. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, anyway, I found it to be a pretty approachable tactics game. I played a lot of tactics games. Compared to something like Tactics Ogre or others in the genre, this is kind of perfect for fans of the franchise who may be this may be their entry point into the genre. So I think that may help the game a little bit. I'm looking forward to checking it out further. I'd guess the game's going to score right around an 87. That's my guess.
Real quick question, Brad. Is Tai Takami in this game?
She wasn't in the demo.
All right. If she's not in it, then I'm out. So, gotta say.
Enough. It wouldn't surprise me to run into her.
I actually got the pleasure of getting to play this twice at PAX, because I did it one time when I waited in that line by myself for a while, and then we go back, Brad and Hunter there towards the end. I had a lot of fun with it. With that being said, though, it is a tactics game. It's not going to be for everybody. I also think that it had some uniqueness to it, but there's enough of a market out there for games like it and Mario Rabbids that it probably might score us similarly around that. I was thinking this is probably going to hit around an 84. With that being said, I plan to play the absolute hell out of this game. It's going to be an absolute blast.
So you're saying an 84?
84.
Hunter, hit us up.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I like that you could just basically move around to the areas. Like, you could just move freely within it. And I like that a lot better than the kind of like pick your cell and click, just to kind of let you like actually move and see where you can go, which was a nice touch for a tactics game. I don't know. Are they going to let you romance, like weird, unethical,
chibi,
hot doctors, like goth doctors that are too old for you? Is that a thing in these games? I don't know. If y'all don't know,
Could be that or a teacher of yours dressed like a maid.
They have to let you do some of that, right?
I feel like it's going to be similar. Probably they didn't have anything like that in the demo, but my assumption will be probably similar to how Fire Emblem has handled relationships recently, where as you're fighting with people, you will build up the relationships, but then will allow for dialogue outside of the combat. So you can build relationships that way. I don't know if that's going to lead to romance relationships. With the chibi style, it might not. This may be more focused on...
Yeah, so if you can't do the weird anime stuff, I think it won't score nearly as well. But I'm assuming you're going to be able to do that. So I'm going to put it at... What Zach said, an 84, right? I'm gonna say an 85, just to Price is Right him.
Okay, that leaves me. I'm going with an 82 on this one. I don't think that the chibi art style is going to play as well with some people for Persona that appreciate the older, more established character designs. And let's look at the history. There's been a lot of Persona 5 spin-offs. There's the Muso game, and yes, thank you, Strikers. And there's been the Dancing Rhythm game as well. And those games did not score quite as well. And I think that there's a lot of potential for making a good tactics game with Persona. But I just don't think it's going to be received quite as well as the mainline. So I'm going to go with an 82 on this one. I think it's going to be a good game, well received generally, but not as well as or beloved as Persona 5.
Every time you pick a score different from mine, I get upset because, like, you might actually have a crystal ball. We'll get to that later.
The last game here is a game called The Last Faith. This is probably not a game that a lot of people have heard of, but this is a game I've had my eye on for a very, very long time. This is a 2D Metroidvania game. The art style is very, very reminiscent of Blasphemous. It's got this kind of grainy, sort of really, really detailed animation, pixel art style. It's very, very similar to Blasphemous. But this is basically a new Castlevania game. People that have been clamoring for a new 2D Castlevania, this is probably as close as you're going to be coming this year to that. It's definitely got. It's also pretty reminiscent of Bloodborne, I would say. It's very, very gothic. The creatures and the monsters that you're fighting are pretty Bloodborne-esque. And I think you do have like some trick weapon style weaponry in this game, but it just looks really, really, really nice. It's a really nice looking game. How well it plays, I don't know, because that's always the question with the Metroidvania, right? What's the movement like? How's the jumping? How's how does the combat feel? I don't know, but everything that I've seen from the game looks really, really good. I remember, I think there was a demo that came out last year that I watched a couple of our friends stream through, and everything I saw looked really, really good. So that said, Metroidvanias, there's a lot of them out there, and you really, really have to be strong to stand out in that genre at this point. I don't know how well this one's going to do. I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to probably come in somewhere around an 80. So, Hunter, what do you think?
This game looks awesome. Definitely has some Bloodborne inspiration. I remember seeing one screenshot of it that looked like you were actually like fighting like up against a hunter. Like it looked like there was a kind of like hunter type character that you were. God, that art style is so good. I do hope it controls well. It's actually published by PlayStat Games also. So that's where Wout is now. So the hashtag.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I know he's been pushing this one like heavy. I think he's pretty pumped about it. He usually is pretty spot on with those kind of things. You know, he's done some games like this in the past, Mortal Shell and some other ones that were kind of like, is it going to control? Is it going to be good? And then it was. I think this one's going to be really good. I mean, it looks like it's nailing the art style for sure. Man, I want this one to be good. This may be wishful thinking. I'm going to put it at an 87.
Ooh, I hope so.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think it's going to be good because it just looks so pretty. And I think it's going to scratch an itch for like kind of a Bloodborne type, like 2D Metroidvania, mix, like fusion.
People are hungry for more Bloodborne style games. I mean, look at Liza P. Like people are eating that thing up.
It looks so good. I'm pumped.
So, Brad, what do you think?
I'm with you. It looks great. It appeals to my love of Metroidvanias and Castlevania, Bloodborne vibes. Definitely going on the wish list for me. That being said, there's a sea of these games and it grows every day. I hope that I'm wrong about this, but I'm guessing it'll probably come in around a 77.
Okay. Zach?
Yeah, as you said, there is a sea of these kinds. We have Salt and Sanctuary, we have Blasphemous, we have Death's Gambit. These kind of games are coming out, but the thing is, all of them are scoring right around the same point because we all want this kind of game right now because it is so good looking. This game looks gorgeous. I think that movement, from the little bit of clips that I've seen, it looks like it's gonna move really well. That's yet again, you got to hope for that. So you may not feel that way when you play it, but I think it's going to end up right around kind of the same spot as those other ones. I think it'll fill in the kind of same area. So I'm going to throw this at an 83.
All right. It's good range.
The separator game.
Exactly. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for bringing your hype to Hype Off. Now we're going to review last month's picks and how we came in. So, it was a bit of a blowout last month, I'll be honest.
Listen.
Humble brag, bud.
Some of us did better than we ever have, and it was still a blowout. Okay? I'm not saying any names, but Hunter, for myself, I did better than I have ever done, and you still kicked my ass.
Yeah,
Take it away.
I think it's probably just luck more than anything, but I came out on top this last month. I was only, how many? I think 3 points off.
It ended up being
total.
3, but it was 2 complete 2 points out of 4 games off until Wizard with a Gun like went up 1 point like the last day before we checked. It was sitting at exactly what you had predicted it to be, which was a bold prediction, by the way, for a long time. So that took you from 2 points off to 3 points off. Oh my goodness!
Damn you, Wizard with a Gun! You screwed me again. Not really. All right. So just looking at things game by game. First was Alan Wake 2. The actual score for Alan Wake 2 was 89. I guessed 89, so I was right on the money there.
I guess 88.
Hunter guessed 88. He was very, very close as well. Farthest off on that one was Zach with an 82.
We're going to see a theme here.
Yeah.
Next game was Wizard with a Gun. Closest on that one was me again with a 75. The final score on Wizard with a Gun was 76. Let's see. Farthest off on that one was Zach. The 85. Zach, how are you enjoying Wizard with a Gun, by the way?
For the little bit I've played, it's fun. It's been a little bit repetitive so far, but I could see how when I get later on with some new guns and stuff, there's a lot of crafting that's going into it right now, and it's kind of a slow start.
I want to give the game a little bit more credit just because there was like the one attention-seeking like tank review it got. Like it was getting like 8s and 9s, and then one person just came out with like a 4 out of the woodwork or something. And a game that's not getting that many scores overall, that really can really skew a bit just from one person's opinion if they're just like that against it. But from all things I can see, it's a solid enough game.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it. The art style is gorgeous. I will say that I love the art style of it. It's been what I've played has been fun so far.
Nice. I'm glad you're enjoying it. The next game was Spider-Man 2. Actual score on Spider-Man 2 was 91. We had a tie on this one between Zach and myself. Zach scored an 89. I scored a 93. So sitting right squarely between the both of us.
But it should be a 90. Nice. It should be closer to a 93. That game is so good.
I mean, it's the right. As I said, I told these guys that's my number 2 for Goaty this year.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so
Spider-Man. Good. You could see it kind of like slowly dropping with more and more reviews, but it's still sitting at a solid 91, which is impressive for how many outlets scored that game, for sure.
Good.
And the final game this month was Super Mario Brothers Wonder. The final score on that one was 91. I guessed 91. So I nailed that one again somehow. And the farthest off on that one was Hunter, I believe. 86. We all thought it was going to be good. Apparently better than we expected in most cases.
It was sitting at a 92 most of the time too, and came down to a 91 right before this. And that game is really good. I don't know why I discounted the Mario factor. The Mario games are just good. They just review well. So, yeah.
Yeah. So with that said, I win Hype Off for this month, so I get the final word at the end of the show. Stay tuned and listen to my no doubt insightful thoughts about something. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and also congratulations on the best Hype Off score that we'll ever have. You know,
that was incredible.
I mean,
3 off is insane.
Like that was crazy. Like that's like it was almost perfect.
We could do better. You never know. It could potentially be better.
I don't know.
I'm looking at Brad. Brad's gonna like nail this thing one of these days and just.
Doubtful, but thank you for the vote of confidence.
Well, just so
this will probably be our best score for, I would assume, if not forever, a very long time. You've done a very good job with fun.
Zach won the first Hype Off, and he was 22 off of the total score.
I thought I was closer than that on the first one.
Nope. Well, we had one that was that was way off for all of us. It was WrestleQuest was the first one.
Oh right,
yeah.
And like we were all like 15 off of that. What that ended up being.
Or WrestleQuest. Yeah. They're gonna patch that game, and it's gonna be way better at some point. I hope.
That would be good.
Yeah. All right, so again, I'm the winner. I think Hunter was it Zach that came down at the bottom on this one?
Wizard of the Gun
he
threw me under the bus.
He was last by a decent margin. Like Brad and I actually didn't do that badly, all things considering. It's just that you did so damn well. Like we didn't stand a chance. But yeah, Zach was definitively well behind the rest of us in this one.
All right, so Zach will have to say something at the stinger as well. So tune in for that. And with that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you, gentlemen. Excellent job. Really enjoyed the discussion this month.
Yeah, same. I'm excited for robots. I'm excited to see what people bring.
Oh yeah,
Bring your robots.
absolutely. So we'll be putting up the request for the robot nominees sometime over the next, probably next weekend, first weekend in November, I believe.
Should be Sunday the 5th. If we
Thank
go
you,
by
Brad.
our normal schedule.
I appreciate that very much. So look forward to that. And in the meantime, just a couple of notes for everybody. Again, we'll be doing Norco for the Indies Nuts next month. Please play along with us. And in the meantime, check out the Discord, the Great Game Debate Discord. If you've enjoyed this show and you want to engage with us, that's where we're doing all the nominees and the voting for the top 10s. We have a lot of great video game discussion there. We're talking about anime, we're talking about TV, obviously other stuff about video games. We have a really, really good time over there. We have a great group of people over there, and we would love for you to join and interact with us there as well. If you like this show, give us a thumbs up. Tell your friends about us and the show. We would love if people would spread the word on this show and give us a little love out there. We also love to have any reviews on Apple Podcasts or Spotify that you'd like to drop for us as well. That would be great. And we also have a Patreon where you can support the Great Game Debate monetarily. All of the money that we get there goes back into the community for contests and other things that only benefit the people that are there. So we really, really appreciate the patrons that we have now. So I just want to give a quick shout out to Pucho, Mateo, Dakota Falk, and Dan Giesland, aka Aviator Gamer. Thank you very much for your patronage. We really, really appreciate it. With that, I think that's it for this month. So we will see you next month when we come back to talk about video game robots.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, for having successfully gone 2 months in a row of not guessing correctly, I have the honor of the stinger here. And as per the directions of our leader and off by 3 points winner Wes, I will not engage in inappropriate sexual relations with my virtual primary care physician.
Only virtual?
And my real life one too.
But what if your primary care physician has like a spiked neck choker and is all goth and hot?
And is a consenting adult.
Sorry, we're not supposed to be talking during this.
All right, this is Wes. As for my final word, I'd just like to encourage folks to go out and give blood. We talked earlier in the show about the Blizzard contest to donate blood and potentially win a PC, but it's just a great thing to do, and it's really, really important. If anybody ever gets in a serious injury, you will need some sort of blood donation. And the only way that people get that blood is by generous folks going out and donating. So really encourage folks to, if you have the ability and the inclination, to go out and get blood. It's awesome. In the meantime, happy Halloween, and we'll see you next time.